Forge gang, Foot Clan, let's go. I'm still a hard man, let's go. Alright, nice. Nice. Let me chill it out. We're picking back up on Blood Meridian. Haven't played this in a while. So I figured, why not continue the longest running playlist on this channel? Why not? You know what I mean? The Ricada stuff that's going on. Seems like every normie thinks that Nick Ricada is some famous person now. It's crazy. Trump has also been indicted on all 43 counts of federal whatever in the state of New York. It's tough out there. It's tough. But all that aside, we're still here, bros. And we're still forging hard. Me and 3-4 will start some start doing some Lord of the Rings online stuff. It's so damn expensive. Like, the Lord of the Rings marketplace is so unreal. I can't believe how freaking expensive that shit is. Alright, I think last time, Sean died. Really can't remember, but this is our first person playthrough. First person. And I also have Blood Meridian 2, well, queued up, chapter 14, where we're at. Yeah, so let's keep doing what we're doing. Let me get my chat phone. 1 second. Can just load it, because it's going to take forever. Alright. Nope, that's not what I want to do. That is not it. That is not it, ma'am. Alright, let's go, Tree Master Bob, let's go. Alright. So let me see here. Let me get the Blood Meridian going. Where's my horse at? My hat. Always gotta, like, remember how to play this game when I get back into it, because I do not remember, bro. Alright, there's Tree That Better. Tree That Better, the horse that chat named. Let's see, items, horse. Arthur's hat. I thought I had a certain hat, estate boss hat. There you go. Alright, so got that going. Alright. Need to turn my Bluetooth off. And here we go.
Chapter 14. Mountain storms. Tierras quemadas, tierras despobladas. Jesus Maria.
Jesus Maria.
Shopkeepers. A bodega.
A
The
bodega.
fiddler. The priest. Las animas. The procession. Cazando las almas.
See, where am I going?
Glanton takes a fit. Dogs for sale. The judge prestidigitant. The flag. A shootout. An exodus. The conducta. Blood and mercury.
You can see the Indian.
At the ford. Jackson restored.
See what
The
this guy
jungle.
wants.
An herbalist. The judge collects specimens. The point of view for his work as a scientist. Ures.
What the?
The populace. Los pordioseros. A fandango. Pariah
Fandango.
dogs. Glanton and Judge. All to the north, the rain had dragged black tendrils down from the thunderclouds, like tracings of lampblack fallen in a beaker. And in the night, they could hear the drum of rain miles away on the prairie. They ascended through a rocky pass, and lightning shaped out the distant shivering mountains, and lightning rang the stones about, and tufts of blue fire clung to the horses like incandescent elementals that would not be driven off.
Whoa.
Soft smelter lights advanced upon the metal of the
Smelterings?
harness. Lights ran blue and liquid on the barrels of the guns. Mad jackhares started and checked in the blue glare, and high among those clanging crags, jocund rohawks crouched in their feathers, or cracked a yellow eye at the thunder underfoot.
That's the greenhorn over there. Oh, and there he goes. So long, long shot.
Oh, what the?
Damn it! Hey, get back here.
They rode for days
Come here,
through the
chick.
rain, and they rode through rain and hail and rain again. In that gray storm light, they crossed a flooded plain.
Whoa,
The
what's up,
shapes of the
KT?
horses
Let's
reflected in the
go.
water among clouds and mountains. And the riders slumped forward, and rightly skeptic of the shimmering cities on the distant shore of that sea.
Can you hear it all right?
They trod miraculous. They climbed up through rolling grasslands, where small birds shied away.
I'm starting a new
chirping down
huge
the wind.
project.
And
Looking
the
for a
buzzard
group.
labored
Let's
up among
go.
bones, with wings that went whoop, 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 like a child's toy.
Whoop,
swung
whoop,
on a
whoop.
string.
Alright, nice.
And in the long red sunset, the sheets of water on
Audio
the plain
is
below
good.
them lay like tide pools of primal blood.
Come here, you bastard.
They passed through a highland meadow carpeted with wildflowers, acres of golden groundsel and zinnia, and deep purple gentian, and wild vines of blue morning glory, and a vast plain of varied small blooms reaching onward.
Come here, you bastard.
To the farthest serried rimlands, blue with haze, and the adamantine ranges rising out of nothing, like the backs of sea beasts in a Devonian dawn.
I'm gonna make a whole Mortium table.
They rode slouched under slickers, hacked from greasy, half-cured
You
hides,
bastard.
and so cowled in these primitive skins before the gray and driving rain, they looked like wardens of some dim sect, sent forth to
Got him.
proselytize
4 by
among the
6
very
foot.
beasts of the land.
You
The country
bastard.
before them lay clouded and dark. They rode through the long twilight, and the sun set.
Untie me and I'll tell you where it is.
You're no place to bargain, boy.
Boy. Loot him?
Untie me, I'll tell you.
I can just loot you, chick.
Goddamn treasure hunt?
And I'm printing my Ratman warbands, and also which one. Let's go, it's gonna be dope. View the map's location.
Thing.
Do the decent thing? Oh, is the decent thing putting a bullet in your head there, chick?
Aren't you gonna untie me?
That's what I thought. Alright. No! This is a Blood Meridian playthrough, bro. He was Ukrainian.
No moon rose. And to the
View the
west,
map's
mountains
location.
shuddered again and again in clattering flames, and
Where?
burned to final darkness, and the rain hissed in the blind nightland. They went up through the
Like,
foothills
how do
among pine
I
trees
view
and
it?
barren rock, and they went up through juniper
I don't
and
even
spruce
remember.
and the rare great aloes, and the rising stalks of the yuccas, with their pale blooms silent and unearthly among the evergreens. In the night, they followed a mountain torrent in a wild gorge, choked with mossy rocks,
Is this it?
and they rode under dark grottos where the water dripped and spattered and tasted of iron.
What the fuck?
And they saw the silver filaments of
View
cascades
the map to find the depth's
divided upon the
location.
faces of distant buttes that appeared
Okay.
as signs and wonders on the heavens themselves. So dark was the ground of their origin.
Is this it?
They crossed the blackened wood of a burn, and they rode through a region of cloven rock,
Where the
where
fuck
great
is it?
boulders lay halved with smooth, uncentered faces. And on the slopes of those ferret grounds, old paths of fire, and the blackened bones of trees.
I usually get the
assassinating
map
mountain
off
storms.
him and drop him in the rundown building full of
On the
bones.
day following, they began to encounter holly and
I don't
oak,
remember what I got to
hardwood
view the
forests,
map.
much like those they had quit in their youth. In pockets on the north slopes, hail lay nested like tektites among the leaves, and the nights were
That ain't
cold.
it.
They
Certain
traveled
items
through the high
pressing
country
X
deeper
on
into
within the
mountains
satchel.
where the storms had their lairs, a fiery, clangorous region where white
Okay.
flames ran on the peaks and the ground bore the burnt smell of broken flint. At night, the wolves and the dark forests of the world below
If something
called
should
them
happen to
as
me,
if they were friends
my
to man.
possessions are stored here.
And Glanton's dog trotted
A hole in a
moaning among
tree.
the endlessly articulating legs of the horses.
1, 2.
9 days out of Chihuahua, they passed through a
Okay.
gap in the mountains and began to descend by a trail that ran carved
Go
along
to the
solid
area
stone
shown on the
face
map.
of a bluff, 1,000 feet above the clouds.
I need some
A
food
great
and
stone
shit, bro.
mammoth watched from the gray escarpment above them.
Crackers.
They picked their way down single file.
Yeah.
They passed through a tunnel hewn in the rock, and on the other side, miles below them in a gorge, lay the roofs of a town. They descended by rocky switchbacks and across the beds of streams where small
Horse.
trout stood on their pale fins.
Hello, good
and studied
sir.
the
What's up,
noses of the
3-4?
treating horses.
We're
Sheets of
continuing
mist
some
that
the
smelled
longest
and
playing
tasted of metal
playlist on this
rose
channel.
out of the gorge and crossed over them and moved on through the woods.
Easy now.
They nudged the horses through the ford and down the trace, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in a thin and drizzling rain,
We just killed a
they rode into
Ukrainian.
the old stone town of Jesus Maria.
Jesus Maria.
Easy.
They clattered over
This
the
is where his,
rain-washed cobbles stuck with leaves,
treasure
and
is.
crossed a stone bridge, and rode up the street under the dripping eaves of the gallery buildings and along a mountain torrent that ran through the town. Small
Search
ore
the tree.
mills had been ground into the polished rocks in the river, and the hills above the town were
It's right
everywhere
there.
tunneled and scaffolded and scarred with drifts and tailings. The raggle-tag advent of the riders was howled about by a few wet dogs crouched in doorways,
Chick's
and
death
they
money.
turned into a narrow street and halted dripping before the door of an inn.
I made my
Pounded
character,
on the
bro.
door, and it opened, and
I
the
made
young
my
boy
Hobbit
looked out.
burglar. Let's
A woman
go.
appeared and looked at them and went back in.
Here.
Finally, a man came and opened the gate. He was
Ukrainians are
slightly
dead.
drunk, and he held the gate while the horsemen rode through one by one.
I need to go to a
little
grocer or
flooded
something,
courtyard,
get some food.
and then he closed the gate behind
Let's
him.
go see what this nigga wants.
In the morning, the rain had stopped.
Let's
And
go
they
here
appeared in the
first.
streets, tattered, stinking, ornamented with human parts like cannibals. They carried the huge pistols stuck in their belts, and the vile skins they wore were deeply stained with blood and smoke and gun black. The sun was out, and the old women, on their knees with bucket and rag, washing the stones before the shop doors, turned and looked after them.
Whoa,
And
can I go up
shopkeepers
this?
setting out their wares nodded them a
My horse
wary
can't
good
handle
morning.
it. Treat them on tree that
They
better.
were a strange clientele among such commerce. They stood blinking before the doorways where finches
You got
hung in
this.
small withy cages, and green and brassy parrots that stood on one foot and croaked uneasily.
Let's go. I told
There
you you
were
got that, boy.
blisters of dried fruit and peppers, and clusters of tinware that hung like chimes. And there were hog skins filled with pulque, the that swung from the beams like bloated swine in a knacker's yard. They sent for cops.
Someone's
A fiddler
trapped.
appeared and crouched
A
on a
damsel?
stone door sill and began to saw out some Moorish
Pro
folk tune.
it's probably a trap.
And none who passed on their morning errands could take their eyes from those pale and rancid giants. By noon, they'd found a bodega run by a man named Frank Carroll, a low doggery, once a stable, whose shed doors stood open to the street to admit the only light. The fiddler had followed in what seemed a great sadness, and he took up his station just without the door, where he could watch the outlanders drink and clack their gold doubloons on the board. In the doorway, there was an old man taking the sun, and he leaned with a goat horn ear trumpet to the rising din within and nodded in continual agreement.
Oh, you poor, dumb animal. Oh. What'll I tell Mildred?
What the hell?
Thank you.
3-4 is cooked. You want to ride, lady?
It's selfish of me to ask, I know, but would you mind taking me home? Not sure if my leg will get me there.
You're cooked, you bastard.
Sure. Be happy to.
Really? Thank you so much.
Just throw your feet up here.
No problem.
What the? Take the woman to Annesburg. Okay. Good Samaritan ghost.
Lord! I don't normally travel this far
Although
alone,
no word
you know.
was spoken in any language he had understanding of.
I was off inquiring about a possible
The judge had
work.
spied the musician,
I borrowed a
and he
friend's
called to
horse
him
for the trip.
and tossed a
See,
coin
my
that
husband-
clinked upon the stones.
Well,
The
it's
fiddler
just
held
me
it
and my
briefly to
boy
the
now,
light,
and
as if it
it's
might
hard
not
to find
serve,
work.
and then slipped it away.
Sure it is.
A good opportunity. That's what I'm looking for.
Damn it, lady. Shut
Not
up,
much work
please.
for a woman with a boy to raise. I won't work in no saloon, but I've got sharp eyes and quick hands. I was hoping to get a job working as a seamstress.
How about you sew these nuts, bitch?
Sounds promising. Also doesn't sound real.
Oh, you may be right, I suppose. He said he'd provide room and board for me and for my child. He wanted to meet me first.
I'd be careful with offers like that, ma'am.
I can't afford to dismiss offers like these, even if they do seem odd.
Just be careful.
Very odd. Very sus.
I may not have another
Hobbit
opportunity like
Gang won.
this. Now I'll have to
Hobbit
pick
Gang
up
was a
back from the
meme, but
horse.
now it's
Sure
real.
sounds like you're in a hard position.
You finding me is the only good thing that's happened to me in a long while, sir.
I hope everyone enjoyed the last good thing that Godwinson ever did in that Internet Insanity that I uploaded. I had it just chilling on my computer, and it was taking up like, because it was like that, and then there's like an hour-long one of Euros reviewing it that I just deleted. I was like, there's no point in re-uploading this. So I just re-uploaded the Godwinson one. Godwin Frick fell off. He sure did. There's one of, I have a U3 for, it's only like a minute long. But like you're on face cam, like you're on cam saying, reading one of my chats from like an old stream. And I'm like, can you ask for a strongly worded letter to Toxic Angel? Or something? And you're asking, you're demanding a strongly worded, or you're gonna write a strongly worded letter to Toxic. Okay, the lady shut up, thank God.
Among his clothes and fitted his
Epic.
instrument beneath his chin and struck up an air that was old among the mountebanks of Spain 200 years before. The judge stepped into the sunlit doorway and executed upon the stones a series of steps with a strange precision. And he and the fiddler seemed alien minstrels met by chance in this medieval town.
About my other Blood Meridian audiobook,
The judge removed
the
his hat
uploader
and bowed
removed
to a
it.
pair of
I had to
ladies
find a
who
new one.
detoured into the street to bypass the doggery. And he pirouetted hugely on his mincing feet and poured pulque from his cup into the old man's ear trumpet.
We're close now.
The old man
Just a
quickly
little
stoppered the horn with the ball of his thumb, and he held the horn with care before him while he augured his ear with one finger, and then he drank. By dark, the streets were filled with besotted bedlamites, lurching and cursing
Cowards
and ringing
removed
the
it.
church bells with pistol balls in a godless chivalry, until the priest emerged bearing before him the crucified Christ and exhorting them with fragments of Latin in a sing-song chant.
Lady, I'm not even moving.
This man was drubbed in the street and prodded obscenely, and they flung gold coins at him as he lay clutching his image.
Judas?
When he rose, he disdained to take up the coins, until some small boys ran out to gather them, and then he ordered them brought to him, while the barbarians whooped and drank him a toast. Spectators drifted away. The narrow street emptied.
Oh, the ice maker scared the
Some
hell
of
out
the
of me.
Americans had wandered into the cold waters of the stream and were splashing about.
You're a good
And
man.
they
Glad I was able to help. You take care. Appreciate it. You be well.
You can find some groceries here. Gotta be a general store. Not even a damn general store. Are you serious? Shit, nigga. That's tough. That's tough and rough. 3-4 is dating Elaine Miller. It's not true. It's not true. Stagecoach. Okay. I'm dropping the Nagasaki truth bombs. Oh, bro, speaking of truth bombs, I watched Godzilla -1 yesterday and today. I finished it today because I fell asleep. And it was really good. It was like a modern remake of the original one, which I was supposed to review, which I never did. Because it's so damn boring to get through. It put me to sleep every time. But Godzilla -1 is really good. It's like damn near, some things are, shots and stuff are taken straight from the original Godzilla.
They clambered dripping into the street and stood dark and smoking and apocalyptic in the dim lampfall. The night was cold, and they shambled steaming through the cobbled town like fairy-book beasts.
Let's
And
see,
it had
hold on.
begun to rain again.
Where are we gonna go?
The day that followed was the Feast of Las Animas, and there was a parade through the streets, and a horse-drawn cart that bore a rude Christ in a stained and ancient catafalque.
Man,
Lay
what the
acolytes
fuck?
followed all in company, and the priest went before ringing a small bell.
Can I use the
barefoot
stagecoach?
brotherhood,
Why is the
clad in
stagecoach
black,
locked?
marched in the rear, bearing scepters of weeds. The Christ jostled past a poor figure
Godwin
of straw with
Frickzilla.
carven head and feet.
I'm gonna try and
He
take
wore
the
a crown of
stagecoach.
mountain briars, and on his brow were painted drops of blood, and on his old dry wooden cheeks blue tears.
What is up with the horse, bro?
The villagers knelt and blessed themselves, and some stepped forward and touched the garment the figure wore and kissed their fingertips. The parade trundled past mournfully, and small children sat in the doorways eating pastry skulls and watching the parade in the rain in the streets.
Okay, so the guys are in Mexico right now,
The
I
judge sat
assume.
alone in the cantina. He also watched the rain, his eyes small in his great naked face. He'd filled his pockets with little candy death's heads, and he sat
I
by
had
the
sex
door
with
and offered
Jessica
these to
Alba in
children passing on the
2008.
walk under the eaves,
Let's
but
go,
they
it's
shied away like little
true.
horses. In the evening, groups of townfolk
Take a
descended
ride.
from the cemetery on the side of the hill, and later in the dark, by
Valentine.
candle or lamplight, they emerged again and made their way up to the church to pray. None but passed clutches of Americans crazed with drink, and these grimy visitants would doff their hats oafishly and totter and grin and make
Yep,
obscene
in Mexico,
suggestions
these
to
are
the
Ralph.
young
It's true, bro.
girls. Carroll had closed his squalid bistro at dusk.
PPP's been squabbling with Melanie Mack, the Christian grifter girl on that's with like the quartering and like geeks and gamers and shit like that.
But opened it again to save the doors being stove.
Because she's a Ricada guarder.
Sometime in the night, a party of horsemen bound for California arrived. Every man of them slumped in exhaustion. Yet within the hour, they'd ridden out again.
All right.
By midnight, when the souls of the dead were rumored to be about, the scalp hunters were again howling in the streets and discharging their pistols in spite of rain or
Doctor.
death. And this continued sporadically until dawn.
There we go.
By noon, the day following, Glanton, in his drunkenness, was taken with a kind of fit. And he lurched, crazed and disheveled, into the little courtyard and began to open fire with his pistols. In the afternoon, he lay bound to his bed like a madman, while the judge sat with him and cooled his brow with rags of water and spoke to him in a low voice. Outside, voices called across the steep hillsides. A little girl was missing, and parties of citizens had turned out to search the mine shafts.
Oh.
After a while, Glanton slept, and the judge rose and went out. It was gray.
The horse trampled his head.
Leaves were blowing down. A ragged stripling stepped from a doorway by a wooden rain spout and tugged at the judge's elbow. He had 2 pups in his shirt front, and these he offered for sale.
Oh, this is fucked up, dude. This is fucked up part.
The judge was looking off up the street. When he looked down at the boy hauled forth the other dog. They hung limply. "Pero savente," he said.
What the fuck?
Said the judge.
This fucking horse just kicked me.
And then the other of the animals. As if he'd picked one to suit the judge's character. Such dogs existed.
Where's my fucking horse at, bro?
He thrust forth the left-hand animal. 50 centavos.
The judge looked at these nuts.
The pup squirmed and drew back at his fist, like an animal backing down a hole. Its pale blue eyes impartial, befrighted alike of the cold and the rain and the judge. "Ambos," said the judge. He sought in his pockets for coins. The dog vendor took this for a bargaining device and studied the dogs anew to better determine their worth. But the judge had dredged from his polluted clothes a small gold coin worth a bushel of such priced dogs. He laid the coin in the palm
we got a
of his
bunch of
hand
money
and held
because
it
of
out. And
the last heist we
took the
did.
pups from their keeper, holding them in one fist like a pair of socks. He gestured with the gold. "Andale," he said. The boy stared at the coin. The judge made a fist and opened it. The coin was gone. He wove his fingers in the empty air and reached behind the boy's ear and took
cigarettes.
the coin.
Gotta get some premium cigarettes.
The boy held the coin in both hands before him like
All right,
a
I think
small
we're good.
subordinate, and he looked up at the judge. But the judge had set forth dogs dangling.
I'll let you look around some more.
He crossed upon the stone bridge, and he looked down into the swollen waters and raised the dogs and pitched them in.
Judge just threw the dogs and puppies in the water.
A small street that ran along the river. Here the Van Diemenlanders stood urinating from a stone wall into the water.
I'm eating canned chili,
When he saw the
looking for
judge commit the dogs from the bridge, he drew his pistol and called out.
"Do I look like a coward to you? I mean, obviously I do, because I
Yes.
look like that milksop there, but 'tis no matter. Can you help?"
Maybe.
See, even he is sick of hearing your nonsense, you afterthought of a child. I apologize, sir,
Wow.
for his smell. Why don't we come back here, to somewhere more conducive to displays of utter gallantry?
It's
and
let's fucking go.
deep-seated inadequacy?
You
What
goof.
did you have in mind?
I've heard Let's Fucking Go, and I've heard Looking for Groot,
Shoot a bottle off my
like
head.
on Lord of the Rings or WoW, LFG, Looking for
Very
Groot,
silly.
tank,
The man is a
healer.
moron.
Shoot one off my
Sorry,
nose.
KT, forgive my
I'm a
ignorance.
brave one.
I'm not so-
I'm a good shot, but
I won't even flinch.
I don't
Ricada sold meth to his
I
own
can't
kid.
lose.
It's messed
Either I'll
up.
prove my masculinity or die and be spared his company. Come,
Dude,
search,
everyone is
please.
on this shit.
Hey
The
now.
Ricada stuff. People are like, yeah, this is a famous
Listen,
YouTube
just
celebrity.
make sure
I'm like, what
everyone
the
knows
fuck?
you asked me to do
It's
this.
okay.
Of course, of course.
Like, this nigga is not famous. Like, shut the fuck up.
Okay.
What am I supposed to do? Sorry, this isn't my vibrator. It's a new electric grinder.
Please, put us out of our misery.
Someone's gonna clip that out of context. No, I don't care.
You got mine. Good shot.
Famous crackhead.
That was fun.
Ricada
I
is
feel
the
like we didn't
worst.
even do anything. Oh, of course you didn't. We all know you're hardly sentient
Nice
at all.
grinder vibrator.
Another
Thank you,
round,
Don Trill.
smaller
Alliance
bottles, sir,
Bishop.
Please.
What?
I don't know.
Please, this creature is unbearable. He needs
He
silence.
had everything so easy.
I'll do my best. As long as she witnesses that I'm doing this under duress.
Boys are so silly.
Okay, well, I gotta do it again, though, bro.
Ready? Aim. Nothing to fear. Yes. Now I'll stand on one leg. Me too. You keep
What
shooting,
the?
sir, and this time you kill the beast. He emerged fully formed from the swamps. Helen. Silence, you blackguard, sir. Shoot the wretch. You're deranged.
Pride Month is cooked. Oh, bro, you already heard about the German police in
Give me the gun. Let me
Germany
for all mankind.
I think me and the lady have had enough.
I don't
who was like
sir. This
stopping
man's
some
done road
protester
work
and then
too.
like
Good. Here,
the Muslim
sir,
stabbed him in the
your
neck and he
skills
died.
and talents.
Thank you.
Now, brother, I am going to walk Helen home. Don't follow us. She has an elderly aunt, and I fear the sight of you could finally finish her off. Helen, is this creep bothering
BMW
you?
got
You
called
two,
out
come
on it.
along.
There aren't two. There's me and the lizard man. Please, my angel, do not aggregate us.
Lizard man. Lizard people? Snake eating itself. It's my favorite thing about them is they destroy themselves. I'm looking for something right now. Hold on. Found it. I knew I'd seen it somewhere. Alright. Okay, don't know what the hell I just did. Oh, I shot that thing off those dudes' heads. Okay. Let's go here, I guess. Fuck it.
The dogs disappeared in the foam. They swept one and the next down a broad green race over sheets of
BMW's
polished
getting
rock
cooked by
in the
woke
pool
media
below.
for not putting gay
The
on their
Van
profile.
Diemenlander raised and cocked the pistol. In the clear waters of the pool, willow leaves turned like jade dace.
Okay, fella.
The pistol bucked in his hand, and one of the dogs leaped in the water. And he cocked it again and fired again, and a pink stain diffused.
He threw.
He cocked and
Okay,
fired the
so to be clear, the judge bought these puppies off of this Mexican vendor, right? And he threw these puppies into the river, and he's using them as target practice. Like, they were going down the river, and he's just like capping them, shooting them, and they're like exploding in like, you know, pools of pink and red and stuff. It's very bizarre.
pistol a third time, and the other dog also blossomed and sank. The judge continued on across the bridge. When the boy ran
Who ordained this judge? I think the devil, bro. I think Satan himself.
up and looked down into the water, he was still holding the coin. The Van Diemenlander stood in the street opposite with his pistol in one hand and the revolver in the other. The smoke had drifted off downstream, and there was nothing in the pool at all.
Obala.
Sometime
The
in
same
late
people that
afternoon,
appointed the
Grant
jury
woke
on
and
Trump's
managed
jury.
to struggle free of his bindings. The first news they had of him was in front
Obala
of the cartel,
Hassad.
where he cut down the Mexican flag with his knife and tied it to the tail of a mule.
Oh,
Then he mounted the mule and
disrespect.
goaded it through the square, dragging the sacred vendetta in the mud behind.
Speaking of Mexico, they're about to get their first Jewish female president. How about that? How about that, Mexico? It's like the cartels haven't been bad before. Show the
He
real
made a
birth
circuit of the
certificate.
streets and emerged in the plaza again, kicking the animal viciously in the flanks. As he turned, a shot rang out, and the mule fell stone dead under him with a musket ball lodged in its brain.
You came.
Blanton rolled clear and scrambled.
There's a foreman. His name is Danbury. There's the files in the office above the refinery room. There. See that light up there?
I see it.
If the files are as
The
incriminating
Hebes are
as
their
we
own
believe,
cartel. That's
Mr.
true,
Corval's
Dontrell.
men will destroy them if they know you're coming.
There's only one of me, son. I don't intend for them to know I'm coming. What will the files say?
There'll be a report from Leyland Oil Development Company.
You got the money?
Yes?
Any ideas how I sneak into this place?
You could crawl under the fence or hide in a wagon. They keep
You know, I heard
on.
on some
If there's a problem,
video I was listening to yesterday,
Was that this had nothing to
it
do
said
with
that
you?
Yiddish is a protected language.
if you are quick, you could climb into the back of that wagon.
To activate the cinematic camera, press and hold. P. Diddy did it for Israel. It's true. P. Diddy's cooked.
To his feet, firing wildly. An old woman sank soundlessly to the stones. The judge and Tobin and Doc Irving came from Frank Carroll's on a dead run and knelt in the shadow of a wall and began to fire at the upper windows. Another half-dozen Americans came around the corner on the far side of the square, and in a flurry of gunfire, 2 of them fell.
Cooked as a book.
Slags of lead were whining off the stones, and gun smoke hung over the streets in the damp air. Blanton and John Gunn
This
had
canned
made their way
chili
along
saved
the
my
walls
soul.
to the shed behind the posada where the horses were stabled, and they began.
Oh, dude, so, and I finished Butcher's Crossing, the audiobook, which I'll probably play next if I don't, if I finish Blood Meridian before I finish this, Red Dead Redemption 2, because it's the longest running series on this channel. So it's possible. I have Butcher's Crossing lined up next, and Butcher's Crossing is also Nicolas Cage is in it. I guess my meal fits with the exactly, bro. Exactly. You're riding with the real cowboys now.
All right, I'm gonna start loading up.
Okay, I gotta. All right, let's go.
and bringing the animals out.
Nick Cage is Keno.
3 more of the
Yeah,
company
it's about the buffalo hunting. So if you like Nicolas Cage and you like westerns, maybe check it out. It's pretty good.
the yard at a run and commenced to tote gear out of the building and to saddle horses. Gunfire was now continual in the street, and 2 Americans lay dead and others lay calling out.
The
When
hell?
the company rode out 30 minutes later, they ran a gauntlet of ragged fusel fire and rocks and bottles, and they left 6 of their number behind. An hour later, Carroll and another American named Sanford, who'd been residing in the town, caught them up. The citizens had torched the saloon. The priest had baptized the wounded Americans and then stood back while they were shot through the head.
Whoa.
Before dark, they encountered, laboring up the western slope of the mountain, a conducta of 122 mules, bearing flasks of quicksilver for the mines.
What have I been up to, bro? Not a whole
Cry
lot.
of the arrieros
Not
of
much.
The switchbacks far below them. And they could
Still,
see the burned
I need to start calling that place again. Trying to get out of this fucking graveyard shift ass, bitch ass Amazon night shift job, bro. Oh, oh, nothing. I'm not doing nothing, bro. Son of a bitch. I just should have just punched him, bro. should have just attacked him. Bastard. I believe in you guys. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Bastard. There's a guy behind me. Bitch. You're done. You're done. Don't think so, bro. Damn it. 3-4 was right. Oh, maybe we won't. Okay, I gotta drink to that death. It is a die you drink stream. So
Animals plodding like goats along a fault line in the sheer rock wall. Bad luck. 26 days from the sea and less than 2 hours out from the mines. The mules wheezed and scrabbled in the talus, and the
oh,
drivers
damn
in their
it. Are
ragged
you
and
serious?
colorful costumes harried them on.
Okay. Fuck.
When the first of them saw the riders above them, he stood in the stirrups and looked back. The column of mules wound down the trail for a half-mile or more, and as they bunched and halted, there were sections of the train visible on the separate switchbacks far below.
I've mostly just been like
facing now this way, now that. The tails of the animals
playing. Well, I have been playing
Helldivers
Helldivers a lot, bro. I'm just Helldivered out. Like I'm done.
Flasks pulsing heavily, as if they carried secret beasts, things in pairs that stirred and breathed uneasily within those bloated satchels. The muleteer turned and looked up the trail.
Kind of, you know, take a step back from like streaming as much as I used
He
to.
greeted the American cordially. Glanton rode past without speaking, taking the upper side of that rocky strait and shouldering the drover's
You're
mule
free, Dad.
dangerously among the loose shales. The man's face clouded, and he turned and called back down the trail. The other riders were now pushing past him, their eyes narrow and their faces
How do we get in this bitch?
with gun soot.
Hey, Tom.
He stood down off his mule and drew his escopeta from under the fender of the saddle. David Brown was opposite him at this point, his pistol already in his hand at the offside of his horse. He swung it over the pommel and shot the man squarely in the chest. The man sat down heavily, and Brown shot him again, and he pitched off down the rocks into the abyss below. The others of the company hardly turned to advise themselves of what had occurred. Every man of them was firing point blank at
Okay.
the muleteers. They fell from their mounts and lay in the trail, or slid from the escarpment and vanished. The drivers below got their animals turned and were attempting to flee back down the trail. And the laden pack mules were beginning to clamber white-eyed at the sheer wall of the bluff like enormous rats. The riders pushed between them and the rock and methodically rode them from the escarpment, the animals dropping silently as martyrs, turning sedately in the empty air and exploding on the rocks below in startling bursts of blood and silver as the flasks broke
Mike
open
Tyson
and
said
the
Jake
mercury
Paul gave him
loomed
an
wobbling
erection.
in the air in
Whoa,
great sheets
no,
of
buddy,
wolves and
what?
small trembling satellites.
Oh,
And
God.
all its forms grouping below.
What's
and
up,
racing
Chauncey,
in the
bro?
stone arroyos like the embreachment of some ultimate alchemic work
What the
decocted
fuck
from
am I
out the
supposed to
secret
do?
dark of the earth's heart.
Trash talk of a
The
new
fleeing
one.
stag of the ancients, fugitive on the mountainside.
I think I gotta crawl up that
Quaking
thing, bro.
in the dry path of
What the
storm's
frick?
channels,
Wars
and
changed.
shaping out the sockets in the rock and hurrying from ledge to ledge down the slope. shivering
Chauncey
and death
won,
as
let's
evils.
go.
The muleteers benched out in a swag on the trail where the precipice was almost negotiable, and they rode and fell crashing down through the scrub juniper and pine in a confusion of cries, while the horsemen herded the lag mules off after them and rode wildly down the rock trail like men themselves at the mercy of something terrible. Carroll and Sanford had become detached from the company. And when they reached the bench where the last of the arrieros had disappeared, they reined their horses and looked back up the trail. It was empty, save for a few dead men from the conducta. 100 mules had been ridden off the escarpment, and in the curve of the bluff, they could see the broken shapes of the animals strewn down the rocks, and they could see the bright shapes of the quicksilver pooled in the evening light. The horses stamped and arched their necks. The riders looked on down into that calamitous.
We don't mention Metal Gear Solid here, Corey Chauncey.
They required no comforts, and they pulled the mouths of the horses about and roweled them on.
At least it wasn't that many this time. I tried to just go
They
stealthy.
caught up with the company at dusk. They
Lol,
were
it shouldn't
dismounted
be.
at the far side of a river.
Oh
And
shit.
the kid and one of the Delawares were hazing the lathered horses back from the edge of the water. They put their animals to the ford and crossed.
Bastard.
The water up out of the horses' bellies, and the horses picking their way over the rocks and glancing wildly upstream where a cataract thundered out of the darkening forest into the flecked and seething pool below.
Seething pool.
When they rode up out of the ford, the judge stepped forward and took Carol's horse by the jaw. "Where's the nigger?" he said.
Ooh.
He looked at the judge.
Where's that nigger at?
They were all but at eye level, and he on horseback. "I don't know."
There he is.
The judge looked at Glanton. Glanton spat. "How
True.
many men did you
That's
see in the
slander, you bastard.
I didn't have time to take no head count. There is 3 or 4 shot that I know of. But not the nigger. I never saw him.
Nigger didn't get shot? The fuck?
There was no nigger in the square. I seen them shoot them boys, and they were every one as white as you and me.
Pee bubbles up his
The judge
nose.
turned loose Carol's horse and went to get his own animal.
You can't be here and chat, you're on vacation. Whoa!
When they rode out up the trail, it was almost dark. The company had pulled back into the woods and posted vedettes at the ford, and they made no fire.
3-4 has
No
hairy
riders came
palms.
down the trail.
I'm back, buddy.
The early part of the night was dark, but the first relief at the ford saw it begin to clear, and the moon came out over the canyon. And they saw a bear come down and pause at the far side of the river.
You must be Danbury.
We'll leave again, I hate you.
Will you be quiet? Need a file by the Leland Oil Development Company. The one about the oil near Wapiti.
Bitch, you better tell me what I want to know. You didn't even say these nuts to my comments on your channel.
Danbury, think, man. Mind is a terrible thing to lose, especially over such a nice floor as this.
Wow.
It's here. It's here.
That's too violent for me. Nutsgate. I've got the file.
You done good, Danbury.
I've got the operating system here.
Good. They'll give you a promotion for this. No, Danbury. Tell the guard you're fine.
Yes. All's fine.
You didn't even ask
Now
please
stay
first.
quiet, or head office will send me back to get you.
Escape through the office window like Batman, I guess. Please, nuts.
And test the air with his nose. And
Test
turn back.
these nuts, bitch.
About daybreak, the judge and the Delawares returned. They had the black with them. He was naked, save for a blanket he'd wrapped himself in. He didn't even have boots. He was riding one
What
of
the?
long-tailed pack mules from the conducta, and he was shivering with cold. The only thing he'd saved was his pistol. He was holding it against his chest under the blanket, for he had no other place to carry it. The way down out of the mountains, toward the west western sea.
Just because it's your month doesn't mean you can wild out. Oh shit, bro.
Gaudy macaws leered and croaked. The trail followed a river, and the river was up and muddy.
Oh
And there were many
shit.
fords, and they crossed and recrossed the river.
Whoa, I can't see shit. What the fuck?
Pale cascades hung down the sheer mountain wall above them, blowing off of the high, slick rock in wild vapors. In 8 days, they passed no other riders. On the 9th, they saw an old man trying to get off the trail below them.
Bro, what's my horse at?
Through the woods. As they came abreast of this spot, they halted, and Glanton turned into the woods where the wet leaves were shuffled up. And he tracked down the old man sitting in the shrubbery, solitary as a gnome.
Solitary as a gnome? What a description.
The old man watched him. ¿Por qué se esconde? Said Glanton. The old man didn't answer. ¿De dónde viene?
Your horse is a hater caught lacking. It is, bro. It's gonna get me killed.
He squatted in the leaves with his arms folded. Glanton leaned his back.
Oh, don't go to the Jakes, buddy.
¿Qué tiene allá? The old man shrugged. Hierbas, he said. Glanton looked at the animals, and he looked at the old man. He turned his horse back toward the trail to rejoin the party.
Do you have the Dindu Lakia DLC for this?
Called the old man after him.
Don't think so.
They moved on. There were eagles and other birds in the valley.
Are you
Many
serious,
deer,
bro?
And there were wild orchids, breaks of bamboo. The river here
Do
was
I have the
sizable,
online?
and it
Yeah.
swept past enormous boulders.
Oh,
and
it's...
waterfalls
Oh, my nigga.
out of the high tangled jungle. The judge had taken to riding ahead with one of the Delawares, and he carried
It's
his
not
rifle
white
loaded with
price
small,
month.
hard seeds of the nopal fruit.
The seeds.
And in the evening, he would dress expertly the colorful birds.
That's a
and shot,
crime, bro.
rubbing the skins with gunpowder and stuffing them with balls of dried grass and packing them away in his wallets. He pressed the leaves of trees and plants in his book, and he stalked
Oh, what the...
the mountain butterflies.
Where's this nigga at, bro?
With both hands, speaking to them in a low whisper. No curious study himself. Toadvine sat watching him as he made his notations in the ledger.
My only crime is being too epic.
And he
A
asked
bait
him
crime.
what was his purpose in all this. The judge's quill ceased its scratching. He looked at Toadvine, then he continued to write again.
That explosion.
Toadvine spat into the fire.
I was happy to watch some of that oil burn. So you met Mr. Danbury?
Yes, don't worry. He was very obliging. I thought you wasn't getting involved.
Thought you were gonna enter and leave silent.
Thank you. You saved my life.
Thank you. I hope. Well,
Picked up some random nigga's hat.
but
That ain't
who
my hat.
knows? Maybe these will be of some use.
Queer diddlers get a month and veterans only get a day. It's tough, man.
Thank you.
We just did that mission for all the gay Indians. You know, since it is gay month, I might try to do a reading from the picture of Dorian Gray, which I think I have that in a playlist. Reading with Ghosts. I might have that in a playlist, or I need to add it. Because I only read the picture of Dorian Gray once, because, you know, fucking Oscar Wilde was a fag. Irish, but still a fag. But, alright, so... There's a big question mark right here. Stranger. Or we can go do a story mission, which is it's a Dutch mission. What next? Stranger or Dutch? Or Dutch and then Stranger? Stranger then Dutch? Or Dutch and then Stranger?
The judge wrote on, and then he folded the ledger shut and laid it to one side, and pressed his hands together and passed them down
We are
over his nose
content
and mouth,
with one
and
day
placed them
and
palm
also
down on
with
his
our
knees.
gender.
Whatever exists, he said, whatever in creation exists without my knowledge, exists without my consent.
All
He
right.
looked about at the dark forest in which they were bivouacked. He nodded toward the specimens he'd collected. These anonymous creatures, he said, may seem little or nothing in the world, yet the smallest crumb can devour us. Any smallest thing beneath yon rock out of men's knowing. Only nature can enslave man, and only when the existence of each last entity is routed out and made to stand naked before him will he be properly suzerain.
Okay, one sec. Chauncey is just mad I left
What's
my
a
snail
suzerain?
trail on his mama's face. Hold on, I gotta pause this 1 second. Dutch and then Chauncey, or I mean Stranger and then Dutch. Found it? Alright.
A keeper or overlord. Why not say keeper then? Because he is a special kind of keeper. A suzerain rules even where there are other rulers. His authority countermands local judgments. Toadvine spat. The judge placed his hands on the ground. He looked at his inquisitor. This is my claim, he said. And yet everywhere upon it are pockets of autonomous life. Autonomous. In order for it to be mine, nothing must be permitted to occur upon it save by my dispensation.
I'm gonna go to the Stranger, guys.
Toadvine sat with his boots crossed before the fire. No man can acquaint himself with everything on this earth, he said. The judge tilted his great head.
I did
The
both.
man who believes that the secrets of the world are forever hidden lives in mystery and fear. Superstition will drag him down. The rain will erode the deeds of his life. But that man who sets himself the task of singling out the thread of order from the tapestry will, by the decision alone, have taken charge of the world. And it is only by such taking charge that he will effect a way
Oh,
to
Mirad's
dictate the
got room
terms
to
of his
over
own
here,
fate.
over there.
I don't see what that has to do with catching birds. The freedom of birds is an insult to me.
The freedom of
I'd have them
birds.
all in
The freedom of birds is an insult to the judge, bro.
The name's William.
Does your mother sew?
zoos.
Arthur.
That'd be a hell of a zoo.
Study of plants, my friend.
The ju-
ain't quite the word I'd use. Well,
Looking like Arthur Shelby
this
over
great
here.
earth beneath our feet can provide everything man ever needs. But we've only reached a tiny bit of its potential. You see, there are thousands, maybe millions of plants. All across
Birds
this
aren't
vast
real.
country
If
we
it
share.
flies, it
The
spies, bro.
mountains, the plains, the swamps.
But not all
Thanks
birds,
to Lord
right?
all, to know all of nature's bounty and all of her wonder.
Was this the DLC you were talking about, there,
Would you consider
Don
helping
Trail?
me with gathering herbs for my studies? Why? Knowledge, kindness, beauty. Well, I'm ignorant, ugly, and nasty. Well, let's see if maybe we can do something about that. I'll see.
Third floor, simmer down there, buddy.
I'm looking for a plant called yarrow. You can
With the
distinguish it by its
Trumpian
red flowers.
quotes.
It shouldn't be too hard to find. They thrive out in the open under direct sunlight.
Give Ode plants to Williams. Here you go. I guess I already have them, nigga.
Let's
How about
see
that?
how this tastes.
Taste these nuts.
Oh,
Bird back
yeah.
better.
I feel better already. You're right.
Shit.
This stuff does have medicinal properties.
Lynch enough and you can
All
unlock
this help,
various
you'll
robes and
receive
hoods
something in return. Well, this is a good
with
horse,
your lynch
actually.
points. I don't think that's true, bro. Because, like,
This
the
gives your
clan
opponents
in
all
this
manner
game
of
is
free
like a
ammo,
bunch of
natural
atheist
or
larpers
and otherwise.
who set
Don't ask
themselves on
how.
fire and
Now, if you don't
like
mind,
worship
I'll get back to my
science and
studies.
stuff.
I look forward to our next meeting, traveler.
If I find any of their letters, I'll definitely read them because they're cooked. Arcade is a crack dealer. He's just a faggot, dude. It's an Easter egg that the devs don't talk about.
You know, after all this, I think you're just wasting your time. Really? Well,
All
you're
right,
welcome to your opinion, as I'm open to mine. You really happy wasting your life picking berries and crushing leaves together? It's not a waste to me. If it's so worrying to you, maybe you should leave me alone to it. I wouldn't want to waste any more of your time. What are you doing? Think very carefully about your next move. I'm not ready. Oh, come on.
oh damn it!
Stop this.
No, huh? We gotta make it. We gotta make it a real one, right? We gotta make it a real one,
Judge
bros.
smiled. Yes, he said. Even so.
Would someone help me?
In the night, a caravan passed. The heads of the horses and mules muffled in serapes, led along silently in the dark. The riders cautioning one to the other with their fingers to their lips. The judge atop a great
They
boulder
couldn't
overlooking
find
the
the
trail
whipping stick.
watched them go. In the morning, they rode on. They forded the muddy Yaqui River.
How do I
They
look
rode through
back?
stands of sunflowers tall as a man on horseback. The dead faces dished toward the west. The country began to open up, and they began to come upon plantings of corn on the hillsides, and a few clearings in the wilderness where there were grass huts and orange and tamarind trees. Of humans, they saw none. On the 2nd of December of 1849, they rode into the town of Ures, capital of the state of Sonora. They had not trotted half the length of the town before they had drawn about them a following of
Everyone
rabble,
type in chat
unmatched
3 for
for
his
variety
stupid
and
N.
sordidness by any they had yet encountered.
Look what we got here.
Beggars and proctors
G.
of beggars, and whores and pimps and vendors and filthy children, and whole deputations of the blind and the maimed and the importunate, all crying out, "Por Dios!" And some who rode astride the backs of
G-E-R.
porters and hied them after. And great numbers of folk of every age and condition who were merely curious.
Fish on the line.
Females of domestic reputation lounged upon the balconies they passed, with faces gotten up in indigo and alnegra, gaudy as the rumps of apes. And they peered from behind their fans with a kind of lurid coyness, like transvestites in a madhouse.
One sec.
The judge and
I'm gonna
Glanton
keep this
rode at the
playing,
head
but
of the little column
I gotta
and
go do
conferred
something real
between themselves.
fast.
The horses cantered nervously, and if the riders roweled an occasional hand clutching at the trappings of their mounts, those hands withdrew in silence. They put up that night at a hostel at the edge of the town, run by a German who turned over the premises to them entirely and was seen no more for either service or payment. Glanton wandered through the tall and dusty rooms with their withy ceilings And at length he found an old criada, cowering in what must have passed for a kitchen, although it contained nothing culinary save a brazier and a few clay pots. He set her to work heating water for baths, and pressed a handful of silver coins on her, and charged her with setting them some kind of board. She stared at the coins without moving until he shooed her away, and she went off down the hallway holding the coins cupped in her hands like a bird. She disappeared up the stairwell, calling out, and soon there were a number of women busy about the place. When Glanton turned to go back down the hall, there were 4 or 5 horses standing in it. He slapped them away with his hat and went to the door and looked out at the silent mob of spectators. "Mozos de cuadra," he called. "Venga! Pronto!" 2 boys pushed through and approached the door, and a number of others followed. Glanton motioned the tallest of them forward and placed one hand on top of his head and turned him around and looked at the others. "Este hombre es el jefe," he said. The jefe stood solemnly, his eyes cutting about. Glanton turned his head around and looked at him. "Te encargo todo, ¿entiendes? Caballos, sillas, todo." "Sí, entiendo." "Bueno, ándale. Hay caballos en la casa." The jefe turned and shouted out the names of his friends, and half a dozen came forward, and they entered the house. When Glanton went down the hall, they were leading those animals, known man-killers, toward the door, scolding them. The least of the boys hardly taller than the legs of the animal he'd taken in charge. Glanton went out to the back of the building and looked about for the ex-priest, whom it pleased him to send for whores and drink, but he couldn't be found. In trying to arrive at a detail which might reasonably be expected to return at all, he settled on Doc Irving and Shelby, and gave them a fistful of coins and returned to the kitchen again. By dark, there were a half-dozen young goats roasting on spits in the yard behind the hostel, their blackened figures shining in the smoky light. The judge strolled the grounds in his linen suit and directed the chefs with a wave of his cigar. And he, in turn, was followed by a string band of 6 musicians, all of them old, all serious, who stayed with him at every turn, some 3 paces to the rear, and playing the while.
All right, I'm back.
A skin of pulque hung from a tripod in the center of the yard.
My Fruit
And
Loop
Irving
flavored
had returned
protein.
with between 20 and 30 whores of every age and size. And there were deployed before the door of the
All right,
building
I'm
whole
back.
trains of wagons and carts overseen by impromptu sutlers, crying out each his bill of particulars. And surrounded by a shifting gallery of townspeople and dozens of half-broken horses for trade that reared and whinnied, and desolate-looking cattle and sheep and pigs, together with their owners, until the town that Glanton and the judge had hoped to lay clear of was almost entirely at their
Eat Cinnamon
door,
Toast Crunch
in a
or get the
carnival
fuck out.
with that mood of festivity and growing ugliness common in gatherings in that quarter of the world. The bonfire in the courtyard had been stoked to such heights that from the street the entire rear of the premises appeared in flames. And new merchants with their goods and new
Bastard.
spectators were arriving regularly, together with sullen groups of Yaqui Indians in loincloths who would be hired for their labor. By midnight, there were fires in the street, and
Got him.
dancing and drunkenness, and the house rang with the shrill cries of the whores and rival packs of dogs that infiltrated the now partly...
Can anyone fill me in on what's going on in the book? Let me read chat real fast. From the Chauncey's Intel, I thoroughly disagree with that. Keemstar told me so. Blood Meridian 3-4 is on periods. On it periods. I peed in Chauncey's cereal this morning. It's true. Fruit Loop. Oh no. They called reinforcements. The reinforcement drop arrived, guys. Shoot him point blank in the heart, okay? I'm off to get some dinner. Catch you later. Alright, have a good one, 3-4. Stay Say blessed, not stressed there, bud. Eat these nuts. Chauncey is a fruit, no loot. It's a cute. Alright, so just like I expected, no one knows what's going on in the book, as always. Alright.
Darkened and smoking yard in the back, where a vicious dogfight broke out over the charred racks of goat bones. And where the
Glad you're
first
back
gunfire of the
before.
night erupted, and wounded dogs howled and dragged themselves about until Glanton himself went out and killed them with his knife.
Where's the lynching
A
boy?
lurid scene in the flickering
He's
light.
around here somewhere.
The wounded dogs silent save for the pop of their teeth, dragging themselves across the lot like seals or other things, and crouching under the walls while
I don't know
Glanton
where he
walked
went,
them
Don
down
Trill.
and clove their skulls with the huge copper-backed belt knife.
Oh,
He
fuck
was
it.
no
Who
more than back
cares?
inside the house before new dogs were muttering at the spits. By the small hours of the morning, most
Gotta
of the
polish
lamps
the
within
old
the hostel
rifle, if you
had
know what I
smoked
mean.
out, and the rooms were filled with drunken snoring. The sutlers and their carts were gone, and the blackened rings of the
You better
burned-out
find him.
fires
He might
lay
have
in the road
disappeared,
like
bro.
bomb craters. The smoldering billets dragged forth to
I'll
sustain
look
the
around.
one last
He's
fire,
like right here.
about which sat old men and boys smoking and exchanging tales.
But he's gone
As the
now, bro.
mountains to the east began to shape themselves out of the dawn, these figures too drifted away. In the yard at the rear of the premises, the surviving dogs had dragged the bones about
He might
everywhere.
have made his way,
The dead
have
dogs
his way to
lay
the
in
southern
dark
belt.
shingles of their own blood.
Oh yeah, it's
dried
like,
in
but
the
he had
dust,
infinite health. I don't
and
know what's
cocks
up
had
with
begun
that.
to crow.
Maybe it's because
When
he
the
was a
judge and Glanton
stranger.
appeared at the front door in their suits,
Oh,
the
well.
judge in white and Glanton in black. The only person
Hold
about
up.
was one of the small hostlers asleep on the steps. "Hoban," said the judge.
There we go.
The boy leaped up. "Eres mozo del caballado?" "Sí, señor. A su servicio."
At some place they go to in this chapter at the beginning it said there was a part called the bodega. I don't know what it meant by this. He might have infinite health, but he doesn't have infinite capacity to breathe in a noose. Well, that's true. Horse items. Sí, señor.
"Vuestros caballos," he said. He would describe the animals, but the boy was already on the run. It was cold, and a wind was blowing.
Alright.
The sun not
Mucho
up.
these nuts.
The judge stood at the steps, and Glanton walked
Oh
up
no,
and down, studying the ground.
not social club.
In 10 minutes, the boy and another appeared,
Don't
leading
want
the
to
two
dox
horses
myself
saddled and groomed
through
at a nice trot up the
Rockstar
street.
Social Club
The boys at a dead
faggotry
run,
there.
barefoot, the breath of the
I'm
horses
trying to get to the
pulling,
map.
and their heads turning smartly from side to side.
Alright, here we go. Let's go see what the fucking idiot Dutch wants.
Chapter 15.
Chapter 15, let's
A new
go.
contract. Sloat. The massacre on the
Social
Nakasari.
club? Social club.
Encounter with Elias.
You're sick.
Pursuit north. A lottery.
Arrest
Shelby and the
him.
kid. A horse lamed. A norther. An ambush. Escape. War on the plains. A descent. The burning tree. On the track. The trophies. The kid rejoins his command. The judge. A desert sacrifice. The scouts do not return. The Ogdode. Santa Cruz. The militia. Snow. A hospice. The stable. On the 5th of December, they rode out north in the cold darkness
Whoa.
before daybreak,
Okay, so there's a lot going
carrying
on
with
there.
them a contract signed by the governor of the state of Sonora for the furnishing of Apache scalps. The streets were silent and empty. Carroll and Sanford had defected from the company, and with them now rode a boy named Sloat, who had been left sick to die in this place by one of the gold trains bound for the coast weeks earlier. When Glanton asked him if he were kin to the Commodore of that name, the boy spat quietly and said, "No, nor him to me." He rode near the head of the column, and he must have counted himself well out of that place. Yet if he gave thanks to any god at all, it was ill-timed, for the country was not done with him.
Easy.
They rode north onto the broad Sonoran Desert. And in that cauterized waste, they wandered aimlessly for weeks, pursuing rumor and shadow. A few small scattered bands of
see the new
Chiricahua
Kino Corner
raiders,
channel?
supposedly seen by herdsmen on some squat.
I saw that.
Mister, I'm desperate. Please help me.
Be happy to. Get on.
You're a lady.
Hi, mister.
Even though you're a nigga, you're still a woman.
If you be so kind to take me to LeGras, that's where I'm from. That's where my people is from.
Oh, shit.
Sure, that's fine.
Don't normally trust no outside man. No offense, mister. Just don't trust
Oh,
him
okay.
All right, ma'am. I don't trust him much either.
You
Based?
seem like a horse rider. Yeah, your whole life I've been. Horse don't help much in LeGras, no. Me, no horse can swim fine as a duck, be much more used to us. Last horse we bud got his foot stuck in the mud. Gator came and ripped his leg off. The horse just wobbling in the water. Another gator
That's
came
my
and took
people.
the other leg. Then the horse fell and died for a part-timers could come by with a rifle on him. And there's no word of lie.
Easy. Sure,
Code of
some
Truth,
horses
what's
are
up, bro? Forge.
Maybe you should be worrying
Ebony
about the
Klein, the cross-dressing tranny watcher.
Well, that's how life is. Bet you travel a lot. You a fool. Can't find yourself no home to live and grow and dying if you always moving. Can't build no roots down. Can't grow nothing up. Always
Sure.
moving is no good.
Maybe I don't want roots. How about that?
How about that?
Settle.
We getting close. Don't dawdle now. Okay, here's good. Thank you, mister. Please let me give you this on account of you being so kind.
Had to make a new channel after showing Maddie's chode. And showing his own balls, probably. It's
Hope I
embarrassing.
never have to
That'd
on
be,
that horse
that's
with
just
you
like,
dang animals.
damn, bro. That is gay. Gay is escorting her to Wakanda. That's right. So nice, so nice. Alright, so I'm gonna read chat while Baldophilia. Alright, so I'm gonna read chat while we're going there. From the last thing, the Fruit Loop flavored protein. I peed in Chauncey's cereal this morning. It's true, 3-4 said Chauncey. My Fruit Loop flavored protein. I tried that stuff. It sucked on Frosted Flakes or even more bad. Cool Tactic says. Eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch or get the fuck out.
So,
Emoji. What the
what's
fuck?
Tahiti like anyhow?
Why is my fucking...
But I hear it's
What's up, Warhammer? Let's go! Forge!
That's
I'm
what they
still
said
a
about the West.
hard man.
Look how
Let's
that turned
go!
It's Maggie.
Like Mr. Bronson.
J-Danks is the fall guy for the J-Danks Army and Plate Gang.
Ruin everything.
So, there's no folk like that in Tahiti?
A lot of the things that people attribute to J-Danks, I don't think he is guilty of personally. I don't think about Euros or any sector shit anymore, Chauncey. Joe Donks.
Exactly.
Alright, let's see what this Jew is up to. Also, the Virgin Mary is not worshipped in the Catholic or Orthodox Church. She is venerated and you can pray on her behalf to intercede for your prayers to Jesus Christ and also the saints. Chauncey says, cool tactic. I'm only playing. To believe that Jesus has no divine nature, but only his human nature is docetism. Docetism.
Arthur, there you are.
Just one more, Arthur. Just one more.
Thomas, let's get going.
Right you are.
Hey, Bill, you were a sharpshooter in the cavalry, weren't you?
What?
When we get there, maybe you could help with the suppression fire.
Steven Seagal wants to ask, what is the Buddha
That's
nature?
right. What was it? The nation's most
I
loyal
apologize to
true
believe Jesus had no human nature is to asceticism, and to believe he only had a human nature
Taught me something you could do with learning.
is Arianism.
Indians were
And I think
savages.
Nestorianism tried to fuse those two. If I could be wrong, but Nestorius, he was like
I saw things I
I don't doubt
excommunicated.
things, Bill, but your tiny little mind was too small to comprehend what you
It's like
saw.
the
What you saw was people
Catholic
lost
Church of
everything to
Asia,
savagery,
China or
peasants.
something.
Failures come from Europe to reap some
They're
awful
trying to
vengeance on
canonize
God's
the
last
first
creation.
samurai saint. Jesus was white. That's right.
I'm sorry. I
Muhammad is
wasted
no
my
prophet.
lifetime
He's not, but he was a white
teaching
ginger too, just like Judas.
leaving love aside.
And just like Christ,
We got this.
he's white.
Don't you never leave love aside, Arthur.
That's why you can't draw Muhammad.
You pick us up yonder.
I got you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Come on, quick. Stay quiet.
How do you like my life in the historic? Bro, I think those are like very informative stuff. People don't know, and like especially that you're reading. You're not reading from some Wikipedia pages. You're reading from some like deep web hooked pages that where it's like you can't even find on Google or nothing no more because they're so buried. So like straight up, like it's some awesome fucking streams.
Arthur, John, you take the left side. If you see a shot, you take it. Okay? Good luck, gentlemen. Arthur, let's go.
Follow John.
Let's go.
Okay, sorry, I was reading chat, guys. I'll put the book back up.
Squalid and desolate ranch. A few peons waylaid and slain. 2 weeks out, they massacred a pueblo on the Nacosari River. And 2 days later, as they rode toward Ures with the scalps, they encountered a party of armed Sonoran cavalry on the plains west of
The Shemites,
Babiaca,
aka
under General Elias.
who's
A running
killed
fight ensued,
Jesus.
in which 3 of Glanton's party
True.
were killed, and another 7 wounded, 4 of whom couldn't ride.
Whoa.
That night, they could see the fires of the army less than 10 miles to the south.
You didn't tell me, John.
They
What
sat
the
out the
fuck?
night in darkness, and the wounded called for water. And in the cold stillness before dawn, the fires out there were still burning. At sunrise, the Delawares rode into the camp and sat on the ground with Glenn and Brown, the judge. In the eastern light, the fires on the plain faded like an evil dream, and the country lay bare and sparkling with pure air. Elias was moving upon them out there with over 500 troops. They rose and began to saddle the horses. Glanton fetched down a quiver made from ocelot skin and counted out the arrows in it, so that there was one for each man. And he tore a piece of red flannel into strips and tied these about the footings of 4 of the shafts, and then replaced the counted arrows into the quiver. He sat on the ground with the quiver upright between his knees while the company filed past.
Bro,
When the
seriously?
kid selected among the shafts to draw one, he saw the judge watching him, and he paused. He looked at Glanton. He let go the arrow he'd chosen and sorted out another and drew that one. It carried the red tassel. He looked at the judge again, and the judge was not watching. And he moved on and took his place with Tate and Webster. They were joined finally by a man named Harlan from Texas, who had drawn the last arrow, and the 4 of them stood together while the rest saddled their horses and led them out. Of the wounded men, 2 were Delawares and 1 a Mexican. The 4th was Dick Shelby, and he alone sat watching the preparations for departure. The Delawares remaining in the company conferred among themselves, and one of them approached the 4 Americans and studied them, each in turn. He walked past them and turned and came back and took the arrow from Webster. Webster looked at Glanton where he stood with his horse. Then the Delaware took Harlan's arrow. Glanton turned, and with his forehead against the ribs of his horse, he tightened the girth straps and then mounted up. He adjusted his hat. No one spoke. Harlan and Webster went to get their animals. Glanton sat his horse while the company filed past, and then he turned and followed them out onto the plain. The Delaware had gone for his horse, and he brought it up still hobbled through the wallowed places in the sand where the men had slept. Of the wounded Indians, one was silent, breathing heavily with his eyes closed.
Got him.
The other was chanting rhythmically.
Bro got
The
wrecked.
Delaware let drop the reins and took down his war club from his bag, and stepped astraddle of the man, and swung the club and crushed his skull with a single blow. The man humped up in a little shuddering spasm, and then lay still. The other was dispatched in the same way. And then the Delaware raised the horse's leg and undid the hobble and slid it clear, and rose and put the hobble and the club in the bag, and mounted up and turned the horse. He looked at the 2 men standing there. His face and chest were freckled with blood. He touched up the horse with his heels and rode out. Tate squatted in the sand, his hands dangling in front of him.
Oh,
He turned and looked at the
Gene has done some stuff
Who gets
on the
Mexican?
Quran.
he said. The kid didn't answer. They looked at Shelby. He was watching them. Tate had a clutch of small pebbles in his hand, and he let them
Whoa.
drop one by one into the sand. He looked at the kid. Go on if you want to, the kid said. He looked at the Delawares
Whoa.
dead in their blankets. You might not do it, he said.
Ooh.
Then you worry. Glanton might come back. He might. Tate looked over to where the Mexican was lying, and he looked at the kid again. I'm still held to it, he said. The kid didn't answer. You know what they'll do to him. The kid spat. I can guess, he said. No, you can't.
Looks like I need more.
I said you could go.
Oh, you
do what you
damn it.
want. Tate rose and looked to the south, but the desert there lay in all its clarity, uninhabited by any approaching armies. He shrugged up his shoulders in the cold. Injuns, he said. It don't mean nothing to them. He crossed the campground and brought his horse around and led it up and mounted it. He looked at the Mexican wheezing softly, a pink froth on his lips. He looked at the kid, and then he nudged the pony up through the scraggly acacia and was gone.
Acacia trees.
The kid sat on the sand and stared off to the south. The Mexican was shot through the lungs and would die anyway. But Shelby had had his hip shattered by a ball, and he was clear in his head. He lay watching the kid. He was from a prominent Kentucky family and had attended Transylvania College. And like many another young man of his class, he'd gone west because of a woman.
I'm sorry, friend. No, name your price. Name your price. Every man have a price. Okay. I surrender.
Should we kill him? Nah, just take him to Dutch. You can carry him. I ain't touching that piece of shit.
Alright,
Taking him to Dutch then?
I need to go piss. I'm gonna go piss real fast, and I'll be right back.
He watched the kid, and he watched the enormous sun where it sat boiling on the edge of the desert. Any road agent or gambler would have known that the first to speak would lose, but Shelby had already lost it all. Why don't you just get on with it? He said. The kid looked at him. If I had a gun, I'd shoot you, Shelby said. The kid didn't answer. You know that, don't you? You ain't got a gun, kid said. He looked to the south again. Something moving, perhaps the first lines of heat. No dust in the morning so early. When he looked at Shelby again, Shelby was crying. "You won't thank me if I let you off," he said. "Do it then, you son of a bitch." The kid sat. A light wind was blowing out of the north, and some doves had begun to call in the thicket of greasewood behind them. "If you want me just to leave you, I will." Shelby didn't answer. He pushed a furrow in the sand with the heel of his boot. "You'll have to say. Will you leave me a gun?"
All right, I'm back.
"You know I can't leave you no gun. You know better than him, are you?" The kid didn't answer. "What if he comes back?" "Clanton? Yes." "What if he does?" "He'll kill me." "You won't be out nothing. You son of a bitch." The kid rose. Will you hide me?" "Hide you?" "Yes." The kid spat. "You can't hide. Where you gonna hide at?" "Will he come back?" "I don't know. This is a terrible place to die, Em." "Where's a good one?" Shelby wiped his eyes with the back of his wrist. "Can you see them?" he said. "Not yet." "Will you pull me up under that bush?" The kid turned and looked at him.
I think Ralph covered it.
Again. Then he crossed the basin and squatted behind Shelby and took him up under the arms and raised him. Shelby's head rolled back and he looked up, and then he snatched at the butt of the pistol stuck in the kid's belt. The kid seized his arm. He let him down and stepped away and turned him loose. When he returned through the basin leading the horse, the man was crying again. He took the pistol from his belt and jammed it among his belongings lashed to the cantle and took his canteen down and went to him. He had his face turned away. The kid filled his flask from his own and reseated the stopper where it hung by its thong and drove it home with the heel of his hand. Then he rose and looked off to the south. "Yonder they come."
What would they do without me, bro?
Shelby raised up on one elbow. The kid looked at him, and he looked at the faint and formless articulation along the horizon to the south. Shelby lay back. He was staring up at the sky. A dark overcast was moving down from the north, and the wind was up. A clutch of leaves scuttled out of the willow bracken at the edge of the sand and then scuttled back again. The kid crossed to where the horse stood waiting and took the pistol and stuck it in his belt and hung the canteen over the saddle horn and
Oh, come on, Lenny. All right, come on. Let's get out of here. Yep. Oh, hey, big man. We gonna ransom you or what?
Got him, cowboy. Yeehaw.
Well, I am.
Wikipedia is awful. All
That's
those
from where
wiki
I'm
pages are
sitting.
trash. It's true.
You're the one deserving of pity, my friend. All your men. All your money. It weren't no match for a bunch of bumpkins.
You are nothing. You do nothing. You mean nothing. You stand for nothing. Me, I run a city. And when the law catch up to you, you will die like nothing. I am this country. You are what people are running from.
I possess things that you will never understand.
You don't even possess your own men. $1,000 to the man who kills him and sets me free.
What are you gonna say now?
They are even bigger fools than you.
No doubt.
The law will find you. Already, the dogs are on the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right.
Oh, he's a snitch.
So right. They are good. Smelling filth, huh? So filth has got to be disposed of. Your friends, the Patriots, gonna come and rescue you. You repulsive little maggot. Call them now. You call them.
Why are Christian NS people
Jesus.
letting the neo-pagans cover H-Man and NS has the only paid in Odinus?
Weakness. That part.
I don't know, maybe if you can, like, link me
No,
to it or something,
well, I
bro,
do.
so I can look at it.
It ain't nice. I know it.
It's probably
But
because
it is
it's
us
Pride
or
Month,
him.
Gay Month, so the pagans are all out in full
Figure it
effect.
might as well be him.
Meridian IDL. Hope you're doing well there, brother. Why is there no Protestant Catholic Orthodox backlash to the pagans pushing NS as pagans? I've always pushed back from that, bro, because that's a fucking, like, the Odinists and the Mormons, German Mormons, and all that was pagans were all mocked, laughed at, kinda. It's bitch like backwards retards.
You gotta bait the hook.
Shut up.
Idiot.
Put a berry on the line. I know this Satanist website that tries to support German National Socialism. They're very open about their homosexuality. Yeah, bro. I've came across a lot of them too.
Mounted up and looked back at the wounded man.
They claim that it is
Then he
Satanist in
rode out.
origin.
Here we go.
He was trotting north on the plain.
Well,
He
that's just
saw
right.
another
That's just
horseman on the
not
roads
right.
before him, perhaps a mile distant.
It was
He couldn't make
Freemasonic,
him out, and
probably,
he rode more slowly.
in some way.
After a while, he saw that the rider was leading the horse, and after a while, he could see that the horse was not walking right.
We could say, like,
It was
yeah,
Tate.
then that means that it is satanic, but
He sat by the wayside watching the kid as he rode up. The horse stood on 3 legs. Tate said nothing. He took off his hat and looked inside it and put it on again. The kid was turned in the saddle, and he was looking to the south. Then he looked at Tate. Can he walk? Not much. He got down and drew up the horse's leg. The frog of the hoof was split and bloody, and the animal's shoulder quivered. He let the hoof down. The sun was about 2 hours high, and now there was dust on the horizon. He looked at Tate. What do you want to do? I don't know. Lead him a while, see how he does. He ain't going to do. I know it. We could ride and tie. You might just keep
alright,
riding.
fuck it.
I might anyway.
Well, I had no bait on it.
Tate looked at him. Go on if you want, he said. The kid spat.
No, I got
Come on.
bait on it. They just ain't biting.
I hate to leave the saddle. Hate to leave the horse, as far as that goes. The kid picked up the trailing reins of his own animal. You might change your mind about what you hate to leave, he said. They set out, leading both horses. The damaged animal kept wanting to stop. Tate coaxed it along. Come on, fool, he said. You ain't gonna like them niggers a bit more than me. By noon, the sun was a pale blur overhead, and a cold wind
Banking,
was
the
blowing
old
out of the
American
north.
art. Dutch wants to
They
speak.
leaned into it, man and
Alright, so this is
animal.
what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go talk to Dutch, and I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette. And I'm gonna do this mission, and I'll probably end the stream. Because how long have I been going, bro? Almost an hour 38. Almost 2 hours. Probably go for like another 30 minutes. 45 minutes. Did that guy just say the nig word? Yeah, bro. They've said it like back to back. Like an hour ago. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go talk to Dutch and smoke a cigarette, then come back, do the mission, and yeah, finish this chapter of Blood Meridian, and then end the stream. Alright, so here we go. I'm pausing Blood Meridian. mute myself to go smoke.
It's the right plan. We've done the work. I've been in town, looking, watching, and waiting. I've tested it as well as I can. It's the right plan.
I know. I just... Well, between you and me, I'm nervous. I suppose that's it.
You're never nervous. That's been my job all these years.
I know. You're sure?
Certain. Well, not certain it will be done, but certain it can be done. And certain this is the only way I see we can do it. I've timed it out more than once.
Well, you're the expert.
Gentlemen?
Look, the bank, Karen, Tilly, Abigail, I sent them all. They all say the same thing. There's no more than one armed guard. And the police? It's a city, there are police, but as far as we can tell, the patrols will all be going this way when Abigail and I cause the diversion. That's the opportunity.
What do you think, Arthur?
I don't see we have a lot of choice. We linger around here, we know we're dead.
But the plan?
We got a decent bunch. We know how to fight. The city cops don't seem so tough as long as we move fast. I reckon doing it in the day with a distraction. If that's what Jose is saying, it's as good a plan as any.
I think I agree.
We do it at night. There's the drama of just getting into the bank. Can't do that silently. They'll pick us off far easier.
I know. I'm just making sure.
Every plan is a good plan if we execute it properly. Every problem we had was because we did not execute properly. Even Blackwater, from my understanding.
You're right. Let's rob this bastard. Everyone get some rest. We ride out in the morning. Look smart. Travel light. You got everything, Arthur?
Sure.
So, we rob ourselves a bank, and within 6 weeks we're living life anew in a tropical idyll, spending the last of our days as banana farmers. Let's get out of this godforsaken place and go rob ourselves a bank!
Come on, Hosea, get moving. We ain't got all day. This is it, gentlemen. The last one.
Come on, dig those spurs in.
Let's go. We have a bank to rob.
Alright, I was watching the whole time. Here we go.
Ride together now. Come on, Hosea, get moving. We ain't got all day.
Alright, I was watching the whole time. Here we go.
Mr. Bell.
Oh shit, reverb.
Mr. Marston, I hope you like the feeling of sun on your bones and sand beneath your feet.
So, Dutch has got this whole fucking scam.
I don't mean like this swampy cesspit, a true paradise, like we always planned.
All sounds very pleasant, Dutch, but right now we're wanted men on our way to rob just about the biggest bank south of St. Louis.
That we are. My, what a bloodless bore you've become. Listen up, everyone. Mr. Marston here included. The plan, one last time. Hosea and Abigail run the distraction. Arthur and I will take the vault. Lenny and John, should he deign to join us, cover the front doors. Javier's got the side door. Charles, Micah, Bill, you deal with the crowd. All right? Stay cool. Think on your feet and follow my lead. Okay, let's get there and get this done.
We'll go grab a beer. Whoa.
Yeah. Yep.
Gentlemen, let us go ahead.
How long minutes or less. You'll know by the noise. Any problems? We'll see you in camp.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Right on! Yeah! Everybody know the drill. We head in hard, stay calm. They won't be expecting us. Any minor trouble, head back to camp. We'll leave in a few days. You good, Bill?
Sure. Then right on with Charles. We don't want to be seen heading in like some posse of country outlaws.
This is it, cowboys! One more time! One more time. Let's ride! Yeah! Get up here, Arthur!
Yep.
Yeah. Just stay with us, damn it.
Sorry, I was trying to figure my audio out, Dutch, you bastard frick. Cunt.
Nice and easy through town now, boys.
I'm gonna go grab my beer on this.
There's Bill. Let's hitch up here. Gentlemen, robbing thieves, it ain't no crime at all. Folk like this, they stole what this country could have been. Stay cool, fellas. Act natural. Wait for Hosea to do his... thing.
This had better work.
Looks like there's law over the other side. Have a modicum of faith, John, will you please? Soon as we get out, load everything onto the wagon here. I love that, Hosea! True artist.
So him got his name from all the soil he
The
consumes.
wind
It's
bore
true.
stinging bits of grit, and they set their hats low over their faces and pushed on. Dry desert chaff passed along with the seething migrant sands. Another hour, and there was no track visible from the main party of riders before them. The sky lay gray and of a piece in every direction as far as they could see, and the wind did not abate. After a while, it began to snow. The kid had taken down his blanket and wrapped himself in it. He turned and stood with his back to the wind, and the horse leaned and laid its cheek against his. His eyelashes were thatched with snow. When Tate came up, he stopped, and they stood looking out downwind where the snow was blowing. They could see no more than a few feet. "Ain't this hell?" he said. "Will your horse lead?" "Hell no. I can't hardly make him follow. We get turned around, we might just run plumb into the Spaniards. I never saw it turn so cold so quick. What do you want to do?" "We better go on. We could pull for the high country. As long as we keep going uphill, we'll know we ain't got in a circle. We'll get cut off. We never will find Glanton. We're cut off now." Tate turned and stared bleakly to where the whirling flakes blew down from the north. "Let's go," he said. "We can't stand here." They led the horses on. Already the ground was white. They took turns riding the good horse and leading the lame. They climbed for hours up a long rocky wash, and the snow did not diminish. They began to come upon pinyon and dwarf oak and open parkland, and the snow on those high meadows was soon a foot deep, and the horses were blowing and smoking like steam engines, and it was colder and growing dark. They were rolled in their blankets asleep in the snow when the scouts from Elias's forward company came upon them. They'd ridden all night, the only track there was, pushing on not to lose the march of those shallow pans as they filled with snow. They were 5 men, and they came up through the evergreens in the dark, and all but stumbled upon the sleepers.
Someone must have squealed. Never should have gone after Bronte, Dutch. Mr. Milton, let my friend go. Or folks, they are gonna get shot unnecessarily.
Your friend? Why would I do that?
Come on, Milton.
It's over. No more bargains, no more deals.
Mr. Milton, this is America. You can always cut a deal.
I've given you enough chances.
Come on.
This is America. This is America. No, don't. Damn Pinkerton bastards.
God damn it! There's your deal, Dutch.
Hosea. God damn it! Kill those bastards! Where's Abigail? How the hell do I know? How stupid are you fools? Kill all those sons of... Hosea! They killed Hosea! I said this was a bad idea! Hold them down! I got an idea! We go! What?
Hosea's done.
Mounds in the snow, one of which broke open, and up out of which a figure sat suddenly, like some terrible hatchet. The snow had stopped falling. The kid could see them and their animals clearly on that pale ground, the men in mid-stride, and the horses blowing cold. He had his boots in one hand and his pistol in the other, and he came up out of the blanket and leveled the pistol and discharged it into the chest of the man nearest him and turned to run. His feet slid and he went to one knee.
Call in an airstrike.
He rose again,
It
running
can't,
down a
bro.
dark
It doesn't even
slash of
exist.
pinyon and turning out along the face of the slope. There were other shots behind him, and when he turned, he could see a man coming down through the trees. The man stopped and raised his elbows, and the kid dove headlong. The musket ball went racketing off among the branches. He rolled over and
You
cocked his
can.
pistol.
This is America.
The barrel must have been full of snow because when he fired, a hoop of orange light sprang out about it. The shot made a strange sound.
Get over here! For Christ's sake, get over here! How the hell did they know? There's no way that we're getting out that door. Take this and blow a hole through that wall. Okay?
Alright. Call in the Wise Right gliders. Let's go.
Then get up to the roof and throw on their fire. We'll follow you up there.
Just got my dinner. How about that? Let's go.
We'll get them out of here. And we will. And we will.
Hosea. Hosea, bro. No. They're fighting your mom, Warhammer. That's not true. Where are we going, bro? Like, right here. Did you yell at the Uber Eats driver? Bro, we looted Hosea's body. His legacy, roll it on. You're not supposed to be able to do that, bro. And we did it. Bastard. Take the woman out while climbing up the roof. What do you mean? Like from Mafia 2, bro? What? Someone must rise to save the sector. It won't be Galveston. That's true. You're done.
Arthur! We lost John. Killed? Arrested.
When we say you couldn't pull Excalibur from the stone, you can't even digest solids. That's right. Get through the chopper! Nice Winchester. Lenny.
He's dead. Oh, God, no. There's nothing we can do. We gotta keep moving.
Just saw your personal slave die. He's probably bleeding out watching us, like, abandon him, right? Your slave is dead. The token slave is done.
Careful, there's more law down there. Shit. Looks like they're heavily patrolling around here. We can get in here. I don't believe it.
They knew we were coming. Just like your ferry job in Blackwater. Ain't nothing like that.
What now?
I don't know. I don't. This whole town is filled with cops.
Well, how long we gonna stay here? A few hours?
We go back to camp, they're gonna get every last one of us. I know they're gonna be watching the roads.
I don't have Cracker Barrel in my area.
I got it. A boat.
What you mean?
We stay here till nightfall. Then we sneak on down to the
Cracker
docks.
Barrel's
We
good,
get
bro.
ourselves out of here.
Except it's way
Yeah.
overpriced and
Where?
like
Any place you want. That's
people
all
from
I
like
got.
California to like
We
Texas,
leave.
like you can't even get
We
in there.
lie low.
You have to make
Come
like
back for the
a
rest in a
reserve
few
like
weeks.
months in advance.
I'm guessing it's that. Or we die out there right now.
Exactly. Now, everybody, calm down. I mean, look at us.
Okay.
Okay, follow me and keep your heads down.
Cracker Barrel's for elites. What? Yeah, it's true, bro.
Head for the docks. Guards up ahead. What now? Just wait a second.
God damn it. This night just keeps getting better, doesn't it?
Quick, get in cover and stay out of sight.
We can't stay here.
Let's cut through the train. Follow me.
He felt to see if the gun had burst, but it hadn't. He couldn't see the man anymore.
Then what do
Picked
Texans
himself up
go
and ran
right a
on.
big family gathering? Applebee's.
At the foot of the slope, he sat gasping
Chili's.
in the cold air and pulled on the boots and watched back among the trees. Nothing moved. He rose and stuck the pistol in his belt and went on.
Golden Corral.
The rising sun found him crouched under a rocky promontory, watching the country to the south. He sat so for an hour or more. A group of deer moved up the far side of the arroyo, feeding, and feeding moved on. After a while, he rose and went along the ridge. He walked all day through those wild uplands, eating handfuls of snow from the evergreen boughs as he went. He followed game trails through the firs, and in the evening he hiked along the rim rock, where he could see the tilted desert to the southwest, patched with shapes of snow that roughly reproduced the patterns of cloud cover already moved
I thought
on
Golden
to the
Corral
south.
was for old people.
Ice had frozen on the rock, and the myriad of icicles among the
Applebee's are
conifers
expensive.
glistened
I've been to
blood
Golden
red
Corral.
in the reflected light of the sunset spread across the
Chili's
prairie to
is
the west.
right.
He sat with his back to a
Chili's
rock
is right in the
and
middle.
felt the warmth of the sun on his face and watched it pool and flare and drain away, dragging with it all that pink and rose and crimson sky.
See if you can draw them out. Draw them out? How? I don't... Make a noise, whistle or something.
Attract the guards in the area without being spotted. What a scam, Dutch.
What was that?
Draw these nuts. Scammed again.
Everyone stay down and keep quiet.
An icy wind sprang up, and the junipers darkened suddenly against the snow. And then there was just stillness and cold.
Damn it.
He rose and...
See them?
Sure.
What you think?
Don't know.
They're watching for us.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Well,
Greedy went in A,
they ain't just
ran
waiting
away.
for
He
no
saw how
reason.
Island Shaggy. That's
Let me
true.
think for a second.
Can
I'll
confirm.
deal with them.
How?
I can't kill all of them silently. So, when they chase me, you go the other way.
What are you talking about?
heard what I said?
Oh, I like it. Red wave.
Javier's like Eddie Guerrero.
Hell, who is... Excuse me, buddy! Hey, stop! Stop, stop!
That is one of the most beautiful acts I ever saw. Come on.
You just watched your buddy die. Like, two people just died, Dutch. Two people just died, Dutch, and that's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Buddy, let's, like, observe your life, maybe. Holy fuck.
Hurry before they come back.
The next Red Dead Redemption stream will be in Cuba. We'll be in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
What?
How about that?
Well, at least we got some gold.
Sure. This boat ain't going to Tahiti by any chance. I don't know. John, Lenny,
Hosea, that wasn't good.
Sean?
what
Sean!
you gonna do now?
Guess I'm gonna introduce myself to the captain. Give him some of this gold to secure his silence and find out where we're heading. How do I look?
Like a shifty, no-good killer on the run from the law.
Ain't that the truth? Excuse me, sir.
Hey, who are you?
Forgive me, a stowaway. Can I see the captain, please? I come in peace. Well, it's gonna take a little more gold, but I think we're gonna be okay. This captain, he is a fine fella, a New Englander from the Cape. The rest of the ship is Frenchmen. They're heading down to the islands, taking some Pennsylvania coal. Now, apparently, we're gonna be able to slip ashore in northern Cuba in a couple of days.
That's so.
Apparently.
What are we gonna do in Cuba, Dutch?
Hold up for a while, then hurry back, gather up the rest of our family. At least we got some money now. Money and loyalty. With that, you can do whatever you please.
So you reckon they'll follow us to Cuba?
Like Colonel Waxman on a jolly? I highly doubt it. I reckon we hold ourselves to ourselves and this is done and dusted.
Let's hope so.
I ain't no sailor, but, that cloud look like good news to you?
Wake up! Everybody! Wake up! Wake up! Come on, Arthur! Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! I don't know, but we are getting off of this boat. You come on! Would you get a move on, you sleepy bastard?
Please, Lord, hey, I'll be right behind you.
You sleepy bastard. You're dead. Fucking Dutch.
I'm okay. You?
Yeah.
This ain't moving.
Yeah, you go on ahead. Try and find another way.
Oh, God damn it!
Titanic is going down. Why is it on fire, bro? Mutiny? Into the depths. This is like my dreams that I have all the time, bro. I'm drowning. Don't know what I'm drowning in, if it's depression or alcohol or both, or society, or what I'm drowning in, bro. When I wake up on this island, like I'm in Lost. Welcome to the new world, buddy. Get up. Macy won!
Moved on, hurrying along the shaly rocks. He walked all night. The stars swung counterclockwise in their course, and the Great Bear turned, and the Pleiades winked in the very roof of the vault. He walked until his toes grew numb and fairly rattled in his boots. His path upon the rimrock was leading him deeper into the mountains, along the edge of a great gorge, and he could see no place to descend out of that country.
What was Weezer Sweet Ninja going on about? Just finished my dinner time. For a nap. Go nap, buddy. Go to bed.
He sat and wrestled off the boots and held his frozen feet each by turn in his arms. They didn't warm, and his jaw was in a seizure of cold. And when he went to put
Seawater
the
has
boots
a
back on
fishy
again, his
smell.
feet were like clubs.
I don't know how much of it is the salt.
When he got them on and stood up and stamped numbly, he knew that he could not stop again until the sun rose.
Time for sunbed.
It grew colder, and the night
Why
lay
nap
long
when it's
before
close?
him. He kept moving, following in the darkness
Why
the
nap when
naked
it's so
chines of
close
rock,
to bed
grown
hours?
bare of snow. The stars burned with a lidless fixity, and they drew nearer in the night until toward dawn he was stumbling among the whinstones of the uttermost ridge to heaven. A barren range of rock so enfolded in that gaudy house that stars lay awash at his feet.
It's daytime
and
in
migratory
New Zealand.
squalls of burning matter crossed constantly about him on their chartless reckonings.
I'm gonna finish this chapter and I'm
In the
gonna
pre-dawn light, he made his
end the
way
stream,
out upon a
bros.
promontory, and there
I
received
nap whenever
first
I
of any
want, buddy.
creature in that country, the warmth of the sun's ascending.
It's 7 p.m.
He slept curled among the stones, the pistol clutched to his chest. His feet
During
thawed
winter.
and burned, and he woke and lay staring up at a sky of china blue, where very high there circled two black hawks about the sun, slowly and perfectly opposed.
Sailors
like
would go insane when they ran out of fresh water to drink seawater. Yeah,
He
bro.
moved north all day.
That's why you never drink
And in the
seawater.
long light of the evening, he
You'll
saw from that high
get more
rim the
dehydrated.
collision of armies,
You go
remote
insane.
and silent upon the plain below. The dark little horses circled, and the landscape shifted in the paling light, and the mountains beyond brooded in darkening silhouette. The distant horsemen rode and parried, and a faint drift of smoke passed over them, and they moved on up the deepening shade of the valley floor, leaving behind them
I
the
was
shapes
hacked,
of
Chauncey
mortal men
says.
who had
They
lost
went
their
from
lives in
cowboys
that
to
place.
pirates that fast.
He watched all this pass below him, mute and ordered
Now
and
it's the Dutch
senseless,
pirate.
until the warring
Guarma.
horsemen were gone in the
Guarma,
sun-rushed
Cuba.
dark that fell over the desert. All that land lay cold and blue and without definition.
KT hacked my internet. We're in Guarma, which is like an island off of Cuba. This is why Cuba is not allowed to have boats anymore. The communist, look, smoke.
And the sun shone solely on the high rocks where he stood. He moved on, and soon he was in darkness himself. And the wind came up off the desert, and frayed wires of lightning stood again and again along the
It
western
was
terminals of
you.
the world. He made his way along the escarpment.
Boy, you're alive. Arthur?
Arthur, I got one more deal for you. I got another plan, buddy.
Arthur, it is a miracle. It is a goddamn miracle. Here, have something to drink. Have a drink. Somebody get him a goddamn drink. Oh, son. Son, take it easy. Oh, we got you.
I know it because I slandered your daddy Euros. Foot Clan, let's go.
So,
Baldo gang, let's ball.
Guarm. Javier asked the local. It's a old sugar plantation island. Second island east of Cuba.
Is it anywhere near Australia or Tahiti?
It's on the way, I guess.
So, what next?
I don't know. Well, next I guess we're gonna get shot.
Encadenen a estos hombres.
Gentlemen, this is quite a welcome.
Who are you?
Senor, por favor, we are no one.
What's your name?
Aiden O'Malley.
Is that so? What are you doing, Mr. O'Malley?
Surviving. We were lost at sea, in the storm.
Is that so?
No, I'm in the habit of looking like this. Is all of this really necessary?
We got enough troubles around here right now, Mr. O'Malley, without taking a chance on a bunch of vagabonds. Behave yourselves and no harm will befall you. Vamos! Vamos! Vámonos! Muévanse! That means move! You got a long walk ahead of you.
I don't get your drift, Mr.
Levi's. Simon, Senior Overseer for Alberto Fusar. We run the third most productive sugar plantation in the Northern Caribbean. Of course, where there's money to be made, there's trouble.
What sort of...
Trouble? Oh, the usual sort. People wanting what ain't theirs and others telling them to take it.
I don't get you.
Labor troubles. And other thieves and pirates looking to disrupt our way.
Hey! Leave him, will you? You're gonna kill him!
Vamos! Vámonos! Muévanse! That means move! You got a long walk ahead of you.
I don't get your drift, Mr.
Levi Simon, Senior Overseer for Alberto Fusar. We run the third most productive sugar plantation in
Sorry,
the Northern Caribbean.
I was muted the whole time. Damn it.
Money to be made, there's trouble.
What sort of trouble?
Oh, the usual sort.
I don't know why I accidentally muted myself, but
I don't get you.
Labor troubles. And other thieves and pirates looking to disrupt our ways of working.
How very upsetting for you.
muted. Yeah, I muted myself, bro. I was playing the book too, and I don't know what the last thing that was said, so I was like getting beat the fuck up.
And the widely scattered Palmilla, standing solitary and silent against the lowering sky, like other beings posted there. To the east, the mountains stood footed blackly into the desert, and before him were bluffs or promontories that ran out like headlands, massive and somber upon the desert floor. He clopped on woodenly, half-frozen, his feet senseless. He'd been without food for almost 2 days, and he'd had little rest. He sighted the terrain before him in the periodic flare of the lightning, and trudged on, and in this manner he rounded a dark cape of rock off to his right, and came to a halt, shivering and frayed by the...
Sorry, I had muted for the cinematic in the game, and then I never unmuted.
Well, for now, we're stuck then.
Wind that freshened and faded and shed scattered sparks down
But
the storm
we're
like
still in
hot
chapter
scurf
14.
blown from some unreckonable forge howling in the waste. He sat and watched it. He couldn't judge how far it was. He lay on his stomach to skylight the terrain to see what men were there, but there was no sky and no light. He lay for a long time watching, but he saw nothing move. When he went on again, the fire seemed to recede before him.
Who knows? Well, they got them chained and lashed, but they don't look too dangerous. Excuse me, sir. Who are our new friends here?
Criminales.
What crime did they commit?
Insurrección.
Insurrection. That's quite a word.
Cállate, señor Fuentes. Muévanse.
Fuentes.
Todos.
Ninja Bros? Dark Ninja Bros? Is it over?
A troop of figures passed between him and the light. Then again, wolves perhaps. He went on. It was a lone tree burning on the desert. A heraldic tree that the passing storm had left afire. The solitary pilgrim drawn up before it had traveled far to be here, and he knelt in the hot sand and held his numbed hands
Soberman
out,
said I ruined
while
his
all about
life.
in that
Well,
circle
he said
attendant
calling him gay
companies of
is
lesser
like
known
life
auxiliaries
ruination, bro.
routed forth into the inordinate day.
Just calling him gay is
Small
like
owls that
doxing
crouched
him and
silently
ruining his
and
life.
stood from foot to foot. And tarantulas.
He says it all the time. A guy who works Satan and crack cranks it to CP gore. Yeah. What a coke. Where are they at, bro? Oh no. I just put him out of his misery.
And salpugas.
That's what Forge Gang did. Forge Gang killed Soberman.
And beaded lizards with mouths black as a chow dog's, deadly to man.
He went a whole week with no sleep on meth and speed, bro.
And the small sand vipers, like seemly gods, silent and the same, in Jeddah, in Babylon. A constellation of ignited eyes that edged the ring of light, all bound in a precarious truce before this torch, whose brightness had set back the stars in their sockets. When the sun rose, he was asleep, under the smoldering skeleton of a blackened scrog.
Everyone okay?
The storm had long passed off.
Damn. Reinforcements.
Mon Dieu. We need to get out of here.
Now we're in trouble.
Come on, David, everyone, follow me. Please, David, come.
Javier!
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here, there's a lot of them!
What do you think?
We gotta move, Dutch!
Don't lose face, sir!
Javier's done.
Cooey, go!
It's Vietnam all over again. They're talking in the trees. The trees are talking. Boy.
Quickly, I have some guns stashed here. Come.
Hey.
Oh, 1 second. Gotta play this.
Off to the south, and the new sky was raw and blue. The spire of smoke from the burnt tree stood vertically in the still dawn, like a slender stylus marking the hour with its particular, faintly breathing shadow upon the face of a terrain that was without other designation.
I sold
Creatures that had been
kids
habitual
and had no cars.
And about him lay only the strange coral shapes of fulgurite, their scorched furrows, fused out of the sand where ball lightning had run upon the ground in the night, hissing and stinking of sulfur. seated tailor wires in the eye of that cratered waste.
Chauncey is working with
away at the edges to a
the
shimmering
DMT
surmise that
elves
reigned the
and the
desert
Reagan.
After a while, he
Chauncey is not Nassim.
the dry course of an arroyo,
He is Fatty Punisher and
tracks of javelinas,
Ronald
until he came
Reagan
upon them,
reincarnated.
standing full of wire. They flushed, snorting into the chaparral, and he lay in the wet, trampled sand and drank and rested and drank again.
Let's go.
In the afternoon, he started
KT
across the valley
stole
floor,
Joe
with the weight
Rogan's
of the water
voice and
swinging
likeness.
in his
Come
gut.
on, follow me.
For
Quick! What you doing here? I have no idea. Running from somebody or something, I guess.
I
went
guess.
Hercule Fontaine. Dutch Vanderland. These drowned rats are Micah.
Joe Rogan, organ harvester. I wonder if Sweet was right on Silver not taking real drugs. Well, all the drugs in the UK are fake, bro. No, I have a big beard, KT says. Big beard, let's go! The testosterone is off the chain.
Purpose is to work ourselves to death to make him rich.
Leon wants the people to stand up to Fusa, but most are too afraid. And you? I am not from here. I bring things in and off the islands behind Colonel Fusa's back. Let's rest a moment. Down there is Agua Dulce, Fusa's compound. The sugarcane these poor men kill themselves farming gets processed in that factory there.
They're little more than slaves shipped in from other islands. A group escaped yesterday into the jungle, hoping to find a way back to their homes.
Now Fusa's men are out hunting them down. That old fort? Cinco Torres. My men and I use that as a hideout when we are here. Come on. I know somewhere you men can rest. Can we trust you? I don't see you have any choice. I am the only one who can arrange a boat for you. But I need something in return. Help Leon with that group of escape workers and then come meet me at
Is Eric German? No, Eric is Polish and he hates Germans.
Thank you.
KT. Just so you know that,
They will
bro.
have him at Fusa's compound. There is a cave hidden below the cliffs. It will lead you right there. Thank you. The workers are somewhere in the jungle. Hopefully we can get to them before Fusa does. Of course. Gentlemen.
Poles, yeah.
Goodbye.
If this is a tropical paradise, so far it ain't up to much.
I'll go
Micah, shut the
entrance
fuck
to
up.
that cave. Arthur.
I need to get some rest.
Well, you're right. We all need to relax. What a mess.
I thought Eric was a weird Dane living in the Netherlands.
Boys.
Get some sleep, Dutch.
No, he's not Dane. He's not a Dane, bro.
Do some more scouting. Carefully.
Gay ones, yeah, yeah, gay ones. There's two wolves that live inside of you. One is Eric, and one is not gay. Alright, so I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette, chat. I'm gonna leave it to you because I trust you guys and I really don't care. You know, I like to host a space and a stream for bros to like be entertained and also just be able to talk and fucking exchange ideas. You know, this is the forum now, you know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to these fucking places. Fuck you, Micah. I can't antagonize
Still
you.
can't believe it. Hosea, Lenny.
Hosea was dying anyway. Lenny. Well,
Mute them
you know
cigarettes.
what they say about pride before a fall.
Oh,
That's all
Satan?
you gotta say?
You know, like this whole month? This whole month of Satan, Micah?
Okay. Guess I'll see you later then. Okay?
The new John form. Like Cog said, puff harder, Puff harder. Dude, I was like shooting those niggas in the heart. There's Dutch. Fuck Dutch, dude. Do I even have a horse?
Dutch is waiting for you, and you have that worker situation to deal with.
Dude, Dutch can get
What are you gonna
fucked.
do?
My horse is not on this island. The gays, well, bro, they don't even own the rainbow. They can't give back something that they don't own. Because God made it. Rainbows are epic. Yeah, that's something that only God could make, bro. KT loves Rainbow Bright, his favorite pony. It's not true. It's not true, Chauncey. It's not true. Horse boy. Horse boy. Bro, to be fair, I love my horse in the fucking game. Like, what is this? Going through the fucking jungle over here. Alright, I'm gonna stand right here. If some nigga kills me, that's just out of line.
3 hours later, he stood in the long arc of horse tracks coming up from the south where the party had passed. He followed the edge of the tracks and sorted out single riders, and he reckoned their number.
Warhammer says he saw Shaggy and Sovereign fighting for Matty Cat's affection. I can believe that.
And he reckoned them to be riding in a canter. He followed the trace for several miles, and he could tell by the alternation of tracks ridden over that all these riders had passed together. And he could tell by the small rocks overturned and holes stepped into that they had passed in the night. He stood looking out from under his hand long down country for any dust or rumor of Elias. There was nothing. He went on. A mile further, he came upon a strange blackened mass in the trail, like a burnt carcass of some ungodly beast. He circled it. The tracks of wolves and coyotes had walked through the horse and boot prints, little sallies and sorties that fetched up to the edge of that incinerated shape and flared away again. It was the remains of the scalps taken on the Nakosari, and they had been burned unredeemed in a green and stinking bonfire, so that nothing remained of the Poblanos save this charred coagulate of their preterite lives. The cremation had been sited upon a rise of ground, and he studied every corner of the terrain about, but there was nothing to be seen. He went on, following the tracks with their suggestion of pursuit and darkness, trailing them through the deepening twilight. With sunset, it grew cold, yet nothing like so cold as in the mountains. His fast had weakened him, and he sat in the sand to rest and woke sprawled and twisted on the ground. The moon was up, a half-moon that sat like a child's boat in the gap of the black paper mountains to the east. He rose and went on. Coyotes were yapping out there, and his feet reeled beneath him. An hour more of such progress, and he came upon a horse. It had been standing in the trace, and had moved off in the dark and stood again. He halted with his pistol drawn. The horse went past, a dark shape, rider or none, he could not tell. It circled and came back. He spoke to it. He could hear its deep pulmonary breathing out there, and he could hear it move, and when it came back, he could smell it. He followed it about for the better part of an hour, talking to it, whistling, holding out his hands. When he got near enough to touch it at last, he took hold of it by the mane, and it went trotting as before, and he ran alongside and clung to it, and finally wrapped his legs about one foreleg and brought it to the ground in a heap. He was the first up. The animal was struggling to rise, and he thought it was injured in the fall, but it wasn't. He cinched his belt about its muzzle and mounted it, and it rose and stood trembling under him with its legs spread. He patted it along the withers and spoke to it, and it moved forward uncertainly. He reckoned it one of the pack horses purchased in Uris. It stopped, and he urged it forward, but it didn't go. He brought his boot heels sharply up under its ribs, and it squatted on its hindquarters and went crabbing sideways. He reached and undid the belt from its muzzle and kicked it forward and gave it a whack with the belt, and it stepped out right smartly. He twisted a good handful of the mane in his fist and jammed the pistol securely in his waist and rode on, perched upon the raw spine of the animal, with the vertebra articulating palpable and discreet under the hide. In their riding, they were joined by another horse that came off the desert and walked alongside them, and it was still there when dawn broke. In the night, too, the tracks of the riders had been joined by a larger party, and it was a broad and trampled causeway that now led up the valley floor to the north. With daylight, he leaned down with his face against the horse's shoulder and studied the tracks. They were unshod Indian ponies, and there were perhaps 100 of them. Nor had they joined the riders, but rather been joined by them. He pushed on. The little horse that had come to them in the night had moved off some leagues, and now paced them with a watchful eye, and the horse he rode was nervous and ill for want of water. By noon, the animal was failing. He tried to coax it out of the track to catch the other horse, but it wouldn't quit the course it was set upon. He sucked on a pebble and surveyed the countryside. Then he saw riders ahead of him. They'd not been there, then they were there. He realized it was their vicinity that was the source of the unrest in the two horses. And he rode on, watching now the animals and now the skyline to the north. The hack that he straddled trembled and pushed ahead. And after
Where'd my beer go,
the
bro?
riders wore hats. He urged the horse on, and when he rode up,
Oh,
the
my
party were
beer's right
halted
here.
and seated on the ground, all watching his approach. They looked bad. They were used up and bloody and black about the eyes, and they had bound up their wounds with
They
linens
just
that were
assumed they
filthy and
overdosed.
blood-stained, and their clothes were crusted with
Or
dried
died
blood
from
and powder black.
cholera, bro.
Glanton's eyes in their dark sockets were burning centroids of murder, and he and his haggard riders stared balefully at the kid as if he were no part of them, for all they were so like in wretchedness of
They
circumstance.
called him El Paseo, or the suit
The
man, or
kid slid
something.
down from the horse and stood among them, gaunt and parched and crazed looking. Someone threw him a canteen. They had lost 4 men. The others were ahead on scout.
4 men.
Elias had
That's
forced
1 man
on
too
through the
many.
mountains all night and all the day following, and had ridden upon them through the snow in the dark on the plain 40
What don't
miles
look
to the
good?
south. They'd been harried north over the desert like cattle, and had deliberately taken the track of the war party in order to lose their pursuers. They didn't know how far the Mexicans were behind
That's
them,
fucked.
and they didn't know
The
how
smell
far
in
the
summer was
Apaches were
awful.
ahead. He
Savagery
drank from the
unleashed.
canteen and looked them over. Of the missing, he'd no way of knowing which were ahead with the scouts and which were dead in the desert.
I'm Degeneration X.
What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Huh? What are you doing here? What are you doing here? Come on. I'm an American.
You asked for to call somebody.
The horse that Toadvine brought him was the one the recruit Sloat had ridden out of Uris. When they moved out a half hour later, 2 of the horses would not rise and were left behind. He sat a hideless and rickety saddle astride the dead man's horse, and he rode slumped and tottering, and soon his legs and arms were dangling, and he jostled along in his sleep like a mounted marionette. He woke to find the ex-priest alongside him.
Ghost
He
is the
slept
Michael.
again.
Is
When he woke
seeing
next, it was the
Michael
judge who
and
was there.
Warhammer is Triple H. It's
He too
true.
had lost his hat and rode with a woven
Oh, what
wreath
the?
of desert scrub about his head, like some egregious saltland
That was the
bard.
FCC
And he
coming
looked down
down
upon the
on
refugee with the same
Shawn
smile,
Michaels and Triple
as
H,
if the
bro.
world were pleasing even to him alone. They rode all the rest of that day up through
I'm gonna
low
save
rolling
this
hills
nigga.
covered with cholla and whitethorn. From time to time, one of the spare horses would stop and stand swaying in the track and grow small behind them.
60s, 70s was
They
disco,
rode down a
80s was more
long
punk and
north
metal,
slope in the
90s
cold
was
blue evening,
the
and
grunge
through a barren
era.
bajada, grown only with sporadic ocotillo and stands
I'm
of
rocking
llama.
it like Ricada.
And they made camp
How
on
about
the
that?
flat, and all night the wind blew, and they could see other fires burning on the desert to the
Maybe
north.
I'm off.
The judge walked out and looked over the horses and selected from that sorry remuda the animal least likely in appearance and caught it up. He let it pass the fire and called for someone to come hold it.
Dude, come
No one
on.
rose. The ex-priest leaned to the kid. Pay him no mind, lad. The judge called again from the dark beyond the fire, and the ex-priest placed a cautionary hand upon the kid's arm. But the kid rose and spat into the fire. He turned and eyed the ex-priest.
I'm actually doing this on purpose.
The ex-priest didn't answer, and the kid turned and went out into the darkness where the judge waited.
Rocking chair.
He stood holding the horse. Just his teeth glistened in the firelight. Together they led the animal off a little ways, and the kid held the woven reata, while the judge took up a round rock weighing perhaps 100 pounds and crushed the horse's skull with a single blow. Blood shot out of its ears, and it slammed to the ground
I've
so
never
hard
seen black
that one of its
skin
forelegs
heads.
broke under it with a dull snap. They skinned out the hindquarters without gutting the animal, and the men cut steaks from it and roasted them over the fire, and cut the rest of the meat in strips and hung it to smoke. The scouts did not come in, and they posted vedettes and turned in to sleep, each man with his weapon at his breast. Mid-morning
Bro,
of the
like,
day
come
following,
on.
they crossed an alkali pan whereon were convoked an assembly of men's heads. The company halted, and Glanton and the judge rode forward. The heads were 8 in number, and each wore a hat, and they formed a ring, all facing outward. Glanton and the judge circled them, and the judge halted and stepped down and pushed over one of the heads with his boot, as if to satisfy himself that no man stood buried in the sand beneath it. The other heads glared blindly out of their wrinkled eyes, like fellows of some righteous initiate, given up to vows of silence and of death. The riders looked off to the north.
My older brothers, the
They rode on.
1850s.
Beyond a shallow rise in cold ash lay the blackened wreckage of a pair of wagons and the nude torsos of the party. The wind had shifted the ashes, and the iron axle trees marked the shapes of the wagons as keelsons do the bones of ships on the sea's floors. The bodies had been partly eaten, and rooks flew up as the riders approached, and a pair of buzzards began to trot off across the sand with their wings outheld like soiled coreen.
Yeah, this Fetty stuff is whack. Yeah, meth can be made from sulfate, I think, just like COVID.
From the other ruins down there. Let's sneak down and take a look.
Which way?
I'll show you. But East, you don't look good. You should rest here.
Okay. You'll need this.
Come, follow me.
Their boiled-looking heads jerking
I'm
obscenely.
thinking more like DMX syrup, not
They
opium.
went on. They crossed the dry estuary of the desert flat, and in the afternoon they rode up through a series of narrow defiles into a rolling hill country. They could smell the smoke of piñon wood fires, and before dark they rode into the town of Santa Cruz. This town, like all the presidios along the border, was much reduced from its former estate, and many of the buildings were uninhabited and ruinous. The coming of the riders had been cried before them, and the way stood
I'm
lined
surrounded
with
by fentanyl
inhabitants,
methadone
watching
clinics.
dumbly as they passed. The old women in black rebosos, and the men armed with old muskets and miqueletes, or guns fabricated out of parts rudely let into stocks of cottonwood that had been shaped with axes, like clubhouse guns for boys. There were even guns among them with no locks at all, that were fired by jamming a cigarillo against the vent in the barrel, sending the gunstones from the riverbed with which they were loaded whizzing through the air on flights of their own eccentric selection, like the paths of meteorites. The Americans pushed their horses forward.
There's a clinic with
It had
people
begun
like
to
that in
snow
Hell's
again,
Kitchen.
and a
It's
cold
true.
wind blew down the narrow street before them. Even in their wretched state, they glared from their saddles at this Falstaffian militia with
Are actual
undisguised
huge neighborhoods
contempt.
all junkies in Detroit and Carolina?
They stood among their horses in the squalid little Alameda, while the wind ransacked the trees, and the birds nesting in the gray twilight cried out and clutched the limbs, and the snow swirled
raised
and
by the
blew across
devil.
the little square and shrouded the shapes of the mud buildings beyond, and made mute the cries of the vendors who'd followed them. Glanton and the Mexican he'd set out with returned, and the company mounted up and filed out down the street until they came to an old wooden gate that led into a courtyard. The courtyard was dusted with snow, and within were contained barnyard fowl and animals, goats, a burro, that clawed and scrabbled blindly at the walls as the riders entered. In one corner stood a tripod of blackened sticks, and there was a large blood stain that had been partly snowed over and showed a faint pale rose in the last light.
I'm in Philly.
A man came out of the house, and he and Glanton spoke, and the man talked with the Mexican, and then he motioned them in out of the
There
weather.
you go.
They sat on the floor of a long room with a high
I'm lucky
ceiling
I live in a
and
booming
smoke-stained
neighborhood.
vigas.
Satanic
While a
panic.
woman and a girl brought bowls of guisado made from goat and a clay plate heaped with blue tortillas. And they were served bowls of beans and of coffee and a cornmeal porridge in which sat little chunks of raw brown piloncillo sugar. Outside it was dark and the snow swirled down. There was no fire in the room, and the food steamed ponderously. When they had eaten, they sat smoking, and the women gathered up the bowls, and after a while a boy came with a lantern and led them out. They crossed the yard among the snuffling horses, and the boy opened a rough wooden door in an adobe shed and stood by holding a lamp aloft. They brought their saddles and their blankets. In the yard, the horses stamped in the cold. The shed held a mare with a suckling colt, and the boy would have put her out, but they called to him to
I
leave
grew
her.
up being a minority.
They carried straw from a stall and pitched it down, and he held the lamp for them while they spread their bedding. The barn smelled of clay and straw and manure, and in the soiled yellow light of the lamp, their breath rolled smoking through the cold. When they had arranged their blankets, the boy lowered the lamp and stepped into the yard and pulled the door shut behind, leaving them in profound and absolute darkness. No one moved. In that cold stable, the shutting of the door may have evoked in some hearts other hostiles, and not of their choosing. The mare sniffed uneasily, and the young colt stepped about. Then one by one they began to divest themselves of their outer clothes, the hide slickers and raw wool surroundings and vests. And one by one they propagated about themselves a great crackling of sparks, and each man was seen to wear a shroud of palest fire. Their arms aloft, pulling at their clothes, were luminous, and each obscure soul was enveloped in audible shapes of light, as if it had always been so. The mare at the far end of the stable snorted and shied at its luminosity in being so endarkened. And the little horse turned and hid his face in the web of his
going to
dam's
piss
flank.
on that. I'm pissing on that, bro.
Chapter 16.
Chapter 16.
The Santa Cruz Valley.
Alright, pause. Because I've got to go piss. And I finished the chapter, so I have to end the stream. So, give me a second. We grinded out 2 whole chapters, bros. We grinded out 2 whole chapters, and we made a good impact. We're in Guarma now. We're in Guarma, Cuba, which is an island off of the fucking Cuban fucking island, communist. Guarma is why they Cubans can't own boats, just so you know. Gen X is the best. Yep, it's true. Fucking spick. Return to Leon. Okay. You're shooting me. They're all just standing in front of each other like a bunch of, like, British niggas. I did. KT said I did. Niggas. I'm about to go listen to music and just, like, drift off, bro. You're done. Going to grab a beer. Ending the stream. We're on chapter 6. We went to 2 chapters, bros.
Thank you, my friend. I'm Baptiste. I work with RDR2. We owe you our lives.
Yes, thank you. My pleasure. This place makes me miss home.
Take care, my friend.
Hercules getting a boat lined up to get you and your men out of here. Just meet him at Cinco Torres.
We'll be there.
Good, good. Here, this is for you.
Thanks.
It's not much, but it's the least we can do. Good luck getting home.
Great stream. Thank you, Warhammer. I'm making a Meridian table. All print. Alright, bros. I just wanted to dedicate this stream to all the fucking real Christians, not the deists, or the Satanists, or the atheists, or the gay unity, or nothing like that. You know, I want to dedicate this to all the base Christians, the white Christians, even the Christians that get drugged in the mud. You know, like the Lynch boy. Lynch boy. Good night, Ghost. Good night, Chauncey. Thank you for coming by, bro. I miss you. I love you. Shout out Knights Hospitals. Shout out, this is a requested shout out. Someone please clip it. This is a shout out to the Knights Hospitals, to the Red Cross. Thank you for doing everything you did. I'm sorry that you got subverted. But many such cases. Good night, bro. Good night, Warhammer, bro. Shaggy and Superman don't take real drugs. It's all a LARP. They don't take them. They just sell them to kids, bro. They just sell them to kids. So I'll see you next time with fucking chapter 16? Chapter 16 of Blood Meridian. We've not got that much left. Rumor Mason subverted all the institutions. Hey, that's what they did, bro. Penguin blue waving tear, laughing my fucking ass off, followed by the cultural Marxists. It is what it is, bro. Can I use my binoculars? Yes. I feel like I'm in a King Kong movie. Epic, bro. Only 4 more minutes and like it'll be like 3 hours. 3-hour stream. Probably they were already subverted by Gnostics. Gnosticism is such a fucking... Bro. Modern Gnosticism is even worse than like medieval Gnosticism. Because it's all gay. You know, it's all fucking gay. Paul wrote about the Gnostics and Judaizers has the primary anti-Christian sects. They are, bro. Yeah, they are. Still don't have no damn horse. On a fucking Cuban island somewhere, bro. I'm on an island unto myself. The island of relevancy. The island of Kino. The island of hard men in the forge. Let's go. Rip Sean. Sean! Rip Hosea. Rip Lenny. Peace out, bros. See you when I see you. 2 minutes. 2 minutes and it'll be like 8 hours or 3 hours, but I don't care, man. Thanks for coming and chatting, boys. Christ is King. Let's go. 1 more minute. 1 more minute and it'll be a 3-hour stream. A 3-hour Red Dead Redemption stream. How about that? This was a very good stream. This is where we gotta go. To Dutch. We gotta walk there. Through a fucking hostile environment. Really enjoy the Mafia and Shimmy ones. You needn't wait. Thank you, bro. Like, after every Shenmue game, I play a David Cage game. You know? Like, that's always been the formula. And the harder that the Shenmue games have gotten, the longer it's taken me to play a David Cage game. Which Hoplite Official has requested that I play Beyond Two Souls to see that tranny's tits before they cut them off. So yeah. I've got to beat Shenmue to see the tranny tits. David Cage was right. Good night.